Chapter 2983. The Great Galactic Array was destroyed, and the formless laws of order were broken by the demon ancestor. Huge stars completely broke away from their fixed trajectories, and like beasts that had broken free from their cages, they became abnormally ferocious and powerful. The stars collided with each other, erupting with unimaginable destructive energy, causing the entire starry sky to become a mess and be annihilated one after another. All of this spread very quickly, and it didn't take long for it to reach the only place in the starry sky where life existed, which was the world of Earth. The creatures in this world were completely different from the 33 heavens and the 3,000 upper-class worlds. They didn't have the ability to cultivate, or it could be said that they didn't have an adequate cultivation environment. However, the human race here opened up a different path and developed a method called technology. For many years, they spared no effort to explore the entire starry sky and universe, searching for some of the world's secrets. When the starry sky was in chaos, due to the extremely slow flow of time, many things in the outside world were observed, causing a large-scale panic. Especially at night, even if one were to observe with their naked eyes, they could clearly see the colorful lights flickering in the sky. Moreover, they carried a terrifying feeling of explosions coming from beyond the sky. Such a scene was tens of thousands of times more beautiful than a certain race's New Year's Eve every year. Such a commotion was something that the creatures in this world had never experienced before. It was like a miracle. The entire world of Earth was in an uproar because of such a change. Endless ancient legends were opened and spread, causing a stir. As for those who could observe all of this, they were in a constant state of panic. They realized an extremely serious matter. The end of the world was coming. Once that terrifying energy swept over, how could such a small place like Earth survive? The creatures in this world, the many humans in this world, couldn't resist at all. Just as these people were about to fall into despair, some ground equipment suddenly observed something even more inconceivable. Some blurry images showed that outside of Earth, an invisible protective shield seemed to have appeared. Under the impact of the huge stars, Earth emitted a terrifying tremor, but none of the stars could break through and cause any damage. The terrifying chaos in the universe was completely blocked outside, making this place the only pure land in the boundless starry sky. Earth is indeed protected by the gods. This conclusion quickly spread among the human race. At this point, no one questioned the existence of gods anymore, even though they still didn't know what gods were like. However, everything that they had detected through their methods could not be false. The universe was indeed in the midst of destruction, but Earth seemed to be protected by a mysterious force. It did not have to worry about being ravaged by this terrible storm at all. All these changes continued to play out as if they were going to continue forever. Chi. No one could sense that some imperceptible changes were taking place on Earth. Bursts of vigorous spirit chi began to be generated from the invisible, spreading between heaven and Earth. Only the human race had intelligence, but their frail bodies were unable to sense these things. However, many of them gradually felt that some kind of mysterious change had occurred in the world. Many human beings felt that their bodies were lighter, their eyes were brighter, their bodies were stronger, their breaths were smoother, and they could move more freely. This kind of change was only happening imperceptibly. It might take a long time to truly have a huge impact on the living beings on Earth. In a place extremely far away from Earth, the chaotic spirit chi with the multicolored light was surging, and a terrifying power was emitted. It was as if the chaotic spirit chi was nurturing a terrifying existence that could pierce through heaven and earth. Outside the chaotic spirit chi, the demon ancestor's tall and sturdy body stood tall. The scarlet hair on his body swayed without any wind, and a murderous aura surged. As expected of Lu Xiaoyu, this ancestor should have known that since you could break through the Pathfinder realm with the body of a postnatal life form, then the formless realm wouldn't be too difficult for you. However, if you had done this earlier, this ancestor would have had to spend more effort to kill you. Unfortunately, it's too late now. The demon ancestor stood in front of the chaotic spirit chi and said sinisterly. In the end, he couldn't help but sneer. He could clearly sense that the being nurtured in the chaotic spirit chi was Lu Xiaoyu. The demon ancestor had walked out of the chaotic spirit chi. He had broken through the chaotic spirit chi with Pangu, Heavenly Lord Daluo, and the others, and then opened up several huge worlds. Of course, he knew that the chaotic spirit chi came from nothingness, and the chaotic creatures were nurtured by the chaotic spirit chi. In other words, Lu Xiaoyu only needed to break through the chaotic spirit chi to step into the formless realm, and he would be no different from the chaotic creatures. The only difference was that the chaotic spirit chi that nurtured Pangu, Heavenly Lord Daluo, and the others was naturally born from nothingness, while Lu Xiaoyu's chaotic spirit chi was obtained with his own strength. There was no difference in strength between the two. If Lu Xiaoyu really broke through the chaotic spirit chi, his combat strength wouldn't be much different from the demon ancestors. Lu Xiaoyu, this ancestor is coming to take your life. The demon ancestor stood there for a long time, and then his eyes suddenly narrowed. With a deep roar, he flew up and plunged into the chaotic spirit chi. Not long after he entered, Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixin, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong rushed over. Chaotic spirit chi, this must be something that boss evolved. The demon ancestor isn't here now, so he must have already entered and is going to attack boss. Let's go in quickly and help him, Xiaolong said anxiously. Then he led the other 4 people and quickly entered the primal chaos light. They were very anxious. Lu Xiaoyu had just broken through, and it was very likely that he hadn't stabilized his realm yet. If the demon ancestor took advantage of this, the consequences would be unimaginable. There was no need to think at all. They directly plunged into the chaotic spirit chi, and everyone was wrapped up in it. This was a grotesque scene, and it felt as if he had plunged into mud. What was different was that the mud here contained terrifying energy fluctuations and was entwined with colorful lights. Sizzle, 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 as the chaotic spirit chi shot out, it was also constantly splitting, producing dense yin and yang chi, which was extremely terrifying. Traveling through the chaotic spirit chi was very difficult, but fortunately, the demon ancestor was in front and had already opened a path, greatly reducing the pressure on Xiaolong and the others. When Xiaolong and the others entered, they saw the demon ancestor standing in front of a strange light, which looked like a cloud bag. Above the cloud pouch, waves of fluctuations were transmitted, and 5-colored rays of light were emitted from it, illuminating the entire primal chaos in an incomparably magnificent manner. Chaos Divine Fetus. Looking at the cloud bag, the demon ancestor softly said, "The Chaos Divine Fetus was a place where a new life was born. Just like in ancient times, the 3,000 gods and demons were born from this Chaos Divine Fetus. Pangu, Rahu, and Heavenly Lord Absolute Law were all born from this Chaos Divine Fetus. Who else could be born from this Chaos Divine Fetus other than Lu Xiaoyu? Lu Xiaoyu, since you've fallen into my hands, you can consider your death a worthy one. This Chaos Divine Fetus is useful to me, but you probably didn't expect it to help me in the end, right?" The demon ancestor laughed coldly, his words incomparably terrifying. He didn't plan to directly break open the Chaos Divine Fetus, but he wanted to erase Lu Xiaoyu's consciousness that was born from it. Rahu had other plans of his own, and obtaining this Chaos Divine Fetus would be of great use to him. He glanced at Xiaolong and the others behind him, then ignored them and stretched out a claw, reaching for the cloud bag. Attack! Xiaolong and the others immediately became extremely nervous. They absolutely didn't dare to imagine what would happen if the demon ancestor's claw landed. Without thinking, the 5 of them charged out, wanting to stop the demon ancestor's actions. However, with their strength, they couldn't be faster than the demon ancestor's claw. They almost felt despair as they watched the demon ancestor approach the Chaos Divine Fetus bit by bit. Their speed seemed to have slowed down by thousands of times. Their strength was originally far inferior to the demon ancestors, so the scene looked even more bizarre. When the demon ancestor's claw was about to touch the Chaos Divine Fetus, Xiaolong and the others seemed to have just moved. Oh no! Xiaolong's heart sank. He knew that this was the demon ancestor's method. An existence at the illusionary realm could control time and space with ease. Even the 5 of them, who were half a step into the Tao realm, couldn't break through that invisible restraint. Seeing that the demon ancestor was about to touch where Lu Xiaoyu was, Xiaolong and the others' hearts almost jumped out of their chests. However, at this moment, a resounding saber hum shook heaven and earth, appearing out of thin air. Qi-la! Just as the sound of the blade was heard, the ancestor demon's hand that was about to touch the Chaos Sword Essence's claw was slashed by a horrifying blade light. The blade light slashed into the scarlet hair. Clang! The demon ancestor's palm shook, and the sound of metal vibrating rang out. He gently retreated a little, seemingly a little surprised. In just an instant, a long saber appeared out of thin air, emitting a blood-gold light all over. There was also dense chaotic qi lingering on it. Blood slaughter. This long saber was very familiar to Xiaolong, Di Batian, Yonggua, and the others. It was none other than Lu Xiaoyou's natal artifact, blood slaughter. Seemingly because of Lu Xiaoyou's breakthrough, the power that blood slaughter emitted at this time was actually much more powerful than before. When it collided with the demon ancestor, it was actually only shaken away and was not damaged. Primeval treasure? Not bad. Seeing this long saber, not only was the demon ancestor not worried in the slightest, but he also had some unexpected joy. Hearing his words, the shock in the hearts of Xiaolong and the others was huge. Boss really succeeded in breaking through. Even blood slaughter's level has been upgraded to become a primeval treasure. Xiaolong murmured, extremely shocked in his heart. Blood slaughter had always been placed in the Fiend God battlefield, guarding the gap left behind by the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds when the beings of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds retreated. Now that all the formations had been broken by the demon ancestor, there was no need to continue guarding it. However, under the influence of Lu Xiaoyou's breakthrough, his natal saber, blood slaughter, had also undergone a terrifying transformation. It had actually transformed from a Chaos Taoist artifact to a primeval treasure. How could Xiaolong and the others not be shocked by such a huge change? One had to know that a primeval treasure was something that only the fiend gods who walked out of the primeval chaos could possess. It was said that the giant axe that the great god Pangu used to create the world was a primeval treasure. However, all of this originally only existed in legends. None of the postnatal beings had ever seen such a terrifying item. They also found it hard to imagine that with the increase of Lu Xiaoyou's cultivation, blood slaughter would one day be able to break through to such a level and appear out of thin air, automatically defending against the enemy, and blocking the demon ancestor's palm. Why resist? Everything you've done is futile. Looking at the long saber that was surging with power in front of him, the demon ancestor spoke softly. As he spoke, he also glanced at the chaotic divine fetus that was already close at hand. After he finished speaking, Luo Ho once again gathered terrifying power, and scarlet energy formed in his hand. Ferocious fluctuations filled the air, entangling toward blood slaughter. His other hand reached out toward the chaotic divine fetus that was pregnant with Lu Xiaoyu. He actually wanted to block blood slaughter and wipe out Lu Xiaoyou's consciousness at the same time. Blood slaughter, you must stop him. Xiaolong and the others were extremely nervous. The 5 of them seemed to have been shackled by some invisible shackles that they could not break free from. Now, all of their hopes were placed on blood slaughter. As long as this saber could block the demon ancestor for a certain amount of time, it would be much easier for Lu Xiaoyu to break out of the chaotic divine fetus. However, under everyone's expectant gazes, blood slaughter suddenly let out a terrifying hum. Then, it actually did not take the demon ancestor's attack head-on. Instead, it changed the direction of the saber, stirring up a saber light that seemed to pierce through the heavens and earth, directly slashing toward Lu Xiaoyou's chaotic divine fetus. Qi-la, a primeval chaos Dao weapon, was indestructible. It could break through the primeval chaos and had the ability to split the heavens and earth. As the saber light shot out, the surrounding primeval chaos seemed to be about to burst open under this attack. Endless yin and yang qi appeared. However, the entire primeval chaos was still maintained and did not truly shatter. However, the chaotic divine fetus, which was right in front of blood slaughter, suddenly burst open after being struck by this saber. Then, a figure flew out from within and soared into the sky like a god slowly ascending to the heavens. Terrifying energy crazily spilled out as if the entire primeval chaos was about to explode. At the same time, something strange and inexplicable happened. Not only did the primeval chaos not explode, but it also started to bubble as if it was boiling. All of it rolled toward that figure and was absorbed by him. In a short moment, all of the energy disappeared, and the entire space became clear again. Everyone present immediately returned to the boundless starry sky. However, at this time, it could no longer be called a starry sky because many stars had collided with each other and exploded one by one, leaving only smoke and dust floating in the sky. Boss Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taishen, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong were very happy when they saw this scene. They were so excited that they cheered. Their gazes were all focused on the figure that had emerged from the chaotic divine fetus. Seeing Lu Xiaoyu appear, the five of them were extremely excited. He did it! He did it! Xiaoyu successfully took that step and broke through the chaotic divine fetus. He walked out of the primeval chaos and achieved the formless body. He did something that only the ancient fiend gods could do. It's unbelievable! Di Batian and Donghuang Taishen were both very excited. They no longer had the calm expression of the old generation experts. As the earliest experts of the 3000 sectors, they were actually Xiantian lifeforms. However, due to some special characteristics of the 3000 sectors, the two of them had not reached the realm of path-bearing. Until now, they were still stuck at the threshold of half-step path-bearing, unable to advance even an inch. However, who would have thought that Lu Xiaoyu, who had surpassed them many years ago, would accomplish this unprecedented feat today? The formless body, that was the formless body. In the distant ancient times, apart from the few fiend gods who had broken through the primeval chaos, Lu Xiaoyu was the first to reach this step. Most importantly, he was a post-celestial life form. Let's retreat quickly. Boss has successfully broken out of seclusion. He should be able to compete with the fiend ancestor. Xiaolong suddenly pulled the four people beside him and quickly flew into the distance. He only wanted to be further away so that he would not be a burden to Boss. The great battle between two illusionary realms was probably something that these people, completely didn't even dare touch the aftershocks. Now that Lu Xiaoyu had achieved the formless body, it was equivalent to standing on the same level as the fiend ancestor. Even if there was still some gap in cultivation, it was definitely not as exaggerated as before. Now that things had developed to this point, they did not dare to say that the 33 heavens and 3000 sectors were completely protected, but at least they would not have to face the fiend ancestor's bloody suppression. They already had enough power to resist. Lu Xiaoyu. After Xue Ling broke through the chaotic divine fetus, Luo Ho withdrew his attack. He looked at the man in green in front of him, and his eyes finally showed some seriousness. This Lu Xiaoyu was indeed extraordinary. He had done too many things that exceeded his expectations. It could be said that the other powerhouses of the entire fiend race had all died because of Lu Xiaoyu. If not for his many years of arrangements, the 33 heavens and 3000 sectors would have long been reduced to the fiend domain and turned into their territory. How could there be so many incidents? In the fiend ancestor's heart, there was an unimaginable hatred for Lu Xiaoyu. However, because his strength was far higher than the other party before, he did not show it particularly clearly. Now that the man in green had actually succeeded in taking that crucial step and did not die at his hands, this made the hatred in Luo Ho's heart explode instantly. Chapter 2984. Phew! Lu Xiaoyu, who was standing in the void, was surrounded by colorful light. He looked like a god. He closed his eyes slightly as if he was feeling the growth of his strength. In the end, the endless light converged into his body, disappearing without a trace. As for Lu Xiaoyu's eyes, they naturally opened. Within those eyes, there was a world that was being formed. It was incomparably mysterious. In a short period of time, Xiaolong, Di Batian, and the others had already retreated far away. However, they continued to retreat, wanting to get as far away from the two as possible. I didn't expect you to be faster than I expected. However, this still can't change your fate. Looking at Lu Xiaoyu, the demon ancestor's hoarse and gloomy voice sounded as he said these words. He did not delay any longer. He directly raised his claw and brazenly attacked. This sharp claw tore the heavens and split the earth. It was as if it had traveled through time and space from ancient times. It descended in front of Lu Xiaoyu, wanting to tear his body into pieces. A terrifying chaotic aura burst out, sweeping in all directions and sweeping away everything. Within the endless range, the shattered stars turned into dust. In an instant, this claw turned into a chaotic state. In this world, it's still not your turn to be arrogant. Since I've entered the formless realm, I'll be like the great god Pangu and senior heavenly lord Daluo. I'll suppress you forever and never be able to rise again. These words came out of Lu Xiaoyu's throat. Just by standing there, he seemed to represent the pinnacle of this world. He was above the great Tao and beyond the heavens and earth. Buzz. As soon as he grasped the blood slayer in his hand, a terrifying buzzing sound vibrated out. The invisible wave spread out like a wave, pushing away all the chaotic aura in the distance. Swish! The blood slayer was raised. Without any fancy moves, it suddenly slashed down, directly hitting the demon ancestor's palm. In just this simple attack, it was filled with unparalleled terrifying power. It directly collided with the demon ancestor's claw. Clang! The sound of metal colliding rang out. It sounded very ordinary. However, the demon ancestor's body was blasted away, and Lu Xiaoyu was forced back again and again. It was the first time they had exchanged blows, but the difference in strength between the two of them was not much. However, the collision this time set off a terrifying invisible ripple that instantly spread out and swept into the distance. Countless stars in the surroundings had been crushed into chaos, and they were once again pushed into the infinite distance. In the vast space, there was nothing else. It was empty to the extreme. As far as the eye could see, there was only a dot of light in the distance that was as bright as a bean. That was where the Earth was located. There was a mysterious light shield protecting it, and its surroundings were vast and boundless. In the starry sky of the entire universe, all the stars had disappeared, leaving only the tiny world of Earth floating in the air, all alone. On the other side were the demon ancestor and Lu Xiaoyu. He's not weak at all. However, with just you, how can you fight against this ancestor? Luo Ho stood in the void and stared at Lu Xiaoyu as he said sinisterly. The reason why he was defeated in the ancient times was because Pangu and Heavenly Lord Absolute joined forces. Otherwise, even in the ancient times, he, Luo Ho, would not be afraid of anyone in a one-on-one fight. Furthermore, even when the two joined forces, it was also the outcome of one dying and one being annihilated. Heavenly Lord Absolute had fallen long ago, and Pangu had not been able to recover after so many years. All of this was due to his undying body. As long as he was immortal, who could truly pose a threat to him? Moreover, the one in front of him was just Lu Xiaoyu, who had just obtained the formless body. He would not make Luo Ho feel fear. Is that so? The corners of Lu Xiaoyu's mouth curled into a faint smile. He looked at the demon ancestor and said indifferently, I just broke through to the formless realm. However, the difference in strength between us isn't that great. If we really fight, I'm afraid you won't have any advantage in the end. Lu Xiaoyu said softly. His entire person looked calm and relaxed, unlike the endless pressure he had to endure because of the demon ancestor's matter in the past. He was neither hurried nor slow, not in a hurry to fight with the demon ancestor at all. It was just that with his words, the demon ancestor's expression did not change, and he said, So what? This ancestor has an undying body. No matter how powerful you, Lu Xiaoyu, a postnatal life form, are, how can you pose a threat to me? This world absolutely can't escape the fate of being reduced to a fiend region. While this ancestor will eventually find that ultimate art and achieve a true indestructible body. Jejejejej. The demon ancestor opened his mouth and said arrogantly. Finished saying this sentence, he even started laughing wildly, seemingly thinking of something that he was most proud of. And hearing his words, Lu Xiaoyu's brows involuntarily raised up abruptly. The words that Luo Ho said attracted his attention, making him give birth to a huge doubt in his heart. What was the ultimate art that the other party was talking about? Could it be that this world still had some deeper secret? Or was it that above the formless realm, there was still an even more profound realm existing? In addition, the demon ancestor himself clearly already had an indestructible body. Then how could there be the talk of achieving a true indestructible body? After a brief moment of thinking, Lu Xiaoyu seemed to have thought of something. But he did not dare to be sure and also did not voice out his doubts. Since that's the case, then let's fight. I also want to see just how powerful the demon ancestor who turned the entire ancient era upside down, causing countless living beings to suffer a calamity of annihilation, is. Lu Xiaoyu's tone suddenly became deep, looking at the demon ancestor and saying so. He ignited a frenzied battle intent, wanting to fight it out with the demon ancestor. Just breaking through to the formless realm, just nice needed to accurately measure his true strength. While talking, Lu Xiaoyu's figure rose into the air, the long saber in his hand suddenly slashing down. Swoosh! Amidst the resplendent light, a waterfall akin to the Milky Way pouring down from the 9 heavens, and also like an immeasurable dragon's body lying across, traversing the void space, attacking straight for the demon ancestor's head. In this waterfall, one could see clusters of bizarre scenes. There were magnificent worlds evolving and taking form, then being annihilated. Lu Xiaoyu had just broken through to the formless realm and had yet to open up a world that belonged to him. However, with his current cultivation, every single move he made carried the charm of splitting the heavens and earth apart, and it was extremely wondrous. Finishing you off first, then going to take down the 33 heavens is the same. The demon ancestor gave a cold snort and did not evade in the slightest. He actually charged straight for the saber light waterfall that Lu Xiaoyu unleashed. He had his own plans in his heart. In reality, if it was a one-on-one fight, Luo Ho was not afraid of Lu Xiaoyu at all. But he only wanted to finish off this person who could be considered a threat as soon as possible right now, in order to prevent another unforeseen event. One had to know that until now, there was still a fiend god who opened up the 3,000 boundless worlds who had yet to appear. The demon ancestor did not know the other party's specific strength, but there was absolutely no weakling in the formless realm. If he joined forces with Lu Xiaoyu to fight again, he really would not end up with any benefits. But thinking about it, that creator of the 3,000 boundless worlds probably encountered something extraordinary. Otherwise, it would not have been impossible for him to not show up all this time. However, this was not important. As the demon ancestor, he absolutely would not allow such a thing to happen, resulting in the scene from the ancient era to appear again. Kill! The demon ancestor roared, and the blood-colored hair on his body danced wildly. His 4 limbs streaked across the void, and his pair of claws could destroy everything. He directly grabbed Lu Xiaoyu's saber light between his palms, and then pulled fiercely. With a chi-la sound, the terrifying saber light was torn into pieces, turning into fragments of energy that withered away. Lu Xiaoyu did not care about this. Looking at Luo Ho, who was charging at him rapidly, his figure did not move at all. He was as steady as Mount Tai, and once again he slashed out with his saber. This saber slashed open the void space, causing a smooth and flat opening to appear. Light of chaos burst out from within. And Luo Ho also slashed out with his claws, turning Lu Xiaoyu's attack into nothingness. The two of them were engaged in the simplest battle, and for the time being, they were not fighting with their full strength. However, in a very distant place, Xiaolong Di Badian, Donghuang Taishen Yonghua, and Lu Xintong were all shocked. Even though the battle between Lu Xiaoyu and Luo Ho did not cause a huge commotion, the faint ripples that were transmitted over had extremely terrifying power. The 5 of them felt that it was difficult to breathe, and their bloodlines were restricted, making it difficult for them to unleash their full strength. Is this a battle between 2 mighty figures? It looks very simple, but it's really terrifying. Di Badian licked his lips. This was also the first time he had seen such a scene, and he could not help but be shocked. If Xiaoyu and Luo Ho both fight with their full strength, I'm afraid it's not just terrifying. Beside Di Batian, Donghuang Taishan also sighed and said in shock. The ancient era had long passed, and the few gods and devils who created the world had either fallen or been suppressed. It was only today that they truly witnessed such a scene. Compared to those ancient legends, the battle between Lu Xiaoyu and the demon ancestor did not seem to be particularly terrifying. Thinking about it, it was understandable. The ancient battle involved the entire Pangu world and the demon ancestor's world, and the embryonic Daluocean. After that battle, the Pangu world was destroyed, turning into the 33 heavens and countless small worlds. Not a single part of it remained. The demon clan's world was also severely damaged, and only the 18 levels of hell were left. It could be said that it suffered a great loss. Therefore, Di Batian, Donghuang Taishan, and the others understood that if the demon ancestor and Lu Xiaoyu fought with their full strength without any restraint, the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds would not be able to escape the calamity. From this point of view, Lu Xiaoyu was obviously at a disadvantage. With the countless lives at stake, his attacks would be greatly restricted. Hopefully, the demon ancestor won't go crazy. Otherwise, even if the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds are not completely destroyed, they will suffer unimaginable damage. Xiaolong sighed softly and said, after that, the few of them stopped talking and turned their gazes towards the battlefield. They saw that the terrifying battle between Lu Xiaoyu and the demon ancestor continued to erupt. However, the two of them did not seem to intend to change the battlefield. They only wanted to settle everything in the boundless void. One could imagine that the process would not be short. The demon ancestor had absolute confidence that he could defeat Lu Xiaoyu in the end. Lu Xiaoyu, on the other hand, seemed to be waiting for something. He was not in a hurry to fight the demon ancestor. Instead, he was happy to limit the battle to this place to avoid bringing disaster to the 33 heavens. At the same time, the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds were still waiting at the Fiend God battlefield. They were too far away, so they didn't know what was going on. They could only faintly feel the terrifying fluctuations coming from the battlefield. Under Xiaolong's instructions before he left, these experts were all guarding this place and did not leave without permission. They were all waiting for the final result to come from there. If they were needed to fight the demon ancestor, these people would not hesitate at all. For the peace of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, if sacrificing their lives could suppress the demon ancestor's ferocity, they would definitely be willing. Shenwu World. Almost as soon as the demon ancestor broke through the chaos and Lu Xiaoyu appeared, Du Xiaofu, who was inside the stone coffin in the Du family's ancestral shrine, was also awakening. These three people were closely connected. It was also at this time that a miraculous scene appeared in the sky of Shenwu World. It was like a miracle. Streaks of ferocious lightning shuttled back and forth in the sky, releasing a terrifying heavenly might that spread to every corner of the world. However, if one were to take a closer look, or if a super expert were to pry into it, one would discover that it was not lightning at all. Instead, it was a mysterious pattern. It was like the most profound and obscure carvings in the world, and it possessed the most mysterious and unfathomable power. Everywhere in Shenwu World, there were still many living beings in seclusion. Many of them were stuck at a bottleneck and could not break through for a long time. These people all had the same feeling. They only needed to work a little harder to break through and step into a new realm. It was because of this that many people in this world had been in seclusion for many years. In reality, if they could all break through at the same time, then Shenwu World would have dozens of meditators and millions of undying realm cultivators. This was definitely a terrifying force. Though it could not be compared to the 33 skies or the 3,000 worldly worlds, compared to Shenwu World's current scale, it was still lacking something. On this day, a strange force suddenly appeared between the heavens and the earth. It seemed to have triggered some kind of unfathomable principle, and it suddenly produced a terrifying buzzing sound. Along with this rumbling sound, the mysterious patterns in the sky all began to move crazily and converge in a certain direction. This direction was the sky above the Huang country's palace. Boom, boom, boom. The lightning formed by the traces of the Tao did not stop rumbling. In the sky above the Huang country, a boundless dark cloud was formed. The lightning was like a giant dragon that danced and swam freely. Quite a few creatures were shocked by this scene. These were all relatively weak cultivators who hadn't entered a state of seclusion. This strange phenomenon in the sky must have something to do with the Rock Emperor. Someone spoke. There was actually a strong sense of excitement in his voice. That's right. It must have something to do with the Rock Emperor. In the entire Shenwu world, he's probably the only one with such ability. At this time, many people knew that the powerful cultivators from the 3,000 worldly worlds had already left. However, among those who remained in Shenwu world, only the Rock Emperor was left. Moreover, the strange phenomenon was not something a normal person could trigger. This made these people even more certain of their guess. Is the Rock Emperor about to awaken? A creature murmured, full of hope and expectation. The Rock Emperor had been brought back by the ruler of the 3,000 worldly worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, for thousands of years. However, there had been no news from him, causing many living beings to be extremely worried. However, as time passed, they had a firm belief that as long as they continued to wait, their Rock Emperor would one day return to them as the strongest person in Shenwu world. Many living beings hoped that day would come sooner because only the Rock Emperor could truly kill the demon ancestor. Rumble. Many people from Shenwu world walked out and stopped to look. Their eyes were all fixed on the desolate country. As the boundless thunderbolts rolled and surged above his head, a terrifying pressure was released, causing many living beings to feel incomparably shocked. The commotion was so great that it almost caused the entire world to shake violently. One must know that the current Shenwu world was no longer the same as before. It was countless times bigger than it was in the past. It was so vast that those with weaker cultivations would not be able to explore it in their entire lives. This pressure doesn't seem to make people afraid. Some people carefully sensed it and found that this pressure did not make them feel any fear. However, their primordial spirits were trembling, as if they were being looked down upon by a supreme being, causing them to want to prostrate themselves. However, this prostration was out of respect, not fear due to the pressure. Just like living beings facing their closest relatives or elders, they did not feel fear. Instead, they felt a boundless warmth, causing them to feel close and respectful at the same time. This was a miraculous scene that had never happened before. Countless living beings stopped to watch. However, with their cultivations, they could not see through the deepest mysteries. Amidst the flashes of lightning, they gradually gathered together and compressed, causing the lightning to burn even brighter. In the end, the terrifying lightning struck down fiercely. A pillar of lightning that was 1,000,000 times thicker than a mountain struck down from the sky and headed straight for the Du clan's ancestral temple. This lightning was far too terrifying. It was so thick that it almost covered half of the desolate country. However, the citizens of the desolate country did not seem to be afraid at all. They watched this scene in shock and silently waited for the lightning to strike. Sizzle, sizzle. What was strange was that after all the lightning struck down, it was completely absorbed by the stone coffin inside the Du clan's ancestral temple, causing the coffin to vibrate violently. No one noticed that there was a tiny black dot in the middle of the terrifying thunderbolt that had just struck down. Chapter 2985. What's going on? Why is there such a huge commotion? All the cultivators of Shenwu world who weren't in seclusion were shocked. Many of them gathered together and asked in shock. There's a commotion in the Du family's ancestral hall. It must be related to the Rock Emperor. Some of the cultivators sensed the commotion and said immediately. Their voices were filled with excitement. The Rock Emperor. Is the Rock Emperor about to wake up? It's been thousands of years. The Rock Emperor is finally moving. The Rock Emperor must be about to wake up. He's about to reappear. This time, the Rock Emperor will definitely be able to step into the realm of the strongest. All the living beings who heard the news were extremely excited. Countless people spread the news and shared the joy in their hearts. Shenwu world hadn't had such a huge commotion in a long time. At least, After the Rock Emperor was ambushed by the demon ancestor and returned to this world, Shenwu world had been very peaceful. But today, the entire world went berserk. The terrifying pillar of lightning stood between the sky and the Du family's ancestral hall. It was impossible not to associate it with the Rock Emperor. Everyone believed that Du Xiaofu was about to wake up, and from the terrifying commotion, he must be going to an even more terrifying realm, overlooking the world. It's been thousands of years. The Rock Emperor has only been cultivating for a little over 10,000 years. The living beings of Shenwu world had waited for this day for far too long. Everyone rushed towards the direction of the barren country. They wanted to see how the Rock Emperor would be able to stand tall in this world once again. However, many people didn't notice a strange phenomenon. The cultivators who were in seclusion weren't awakened by the commotion. They were still quietly cultivating. It was as if their consciousness was completely sealed and they couldn't sense anything. Of course, some of the more observant cultivators noticed this but didn't say anything. They only wanted to get to the desolate country as soon as possible and witness the arrival of a miracle. They didn't have the time to care about this. Rumble. The lightning was swift and violent. It struck the Du family's ancestral hall and formed a terrifying pillar of light that covered almost half of the desolate country. This lightning was formed from strange patterns, but it didn't carry any destructive energy. Instead, it was gentle and warm. Everyone in the desolate country felt like they were bathing in the spring breeze. In reality, this lightning was formed from thousands of Dao. It was the foundation of Shenwu world. But at this moment, it was visible to the naked eye. It turned into lightning and the Du family's ancestral hall. That little black dot, hidden in the middle of the lightning, it was hidden in the middle was on the lightning. After it, Du Xiaofu is. Du Xiaofu. Du on. Calm. Immediately after that, an indescribable aura suddenly spread out in all directions in this world. It was as if an invisible opportunity had been opened between heaven and earth. All the living beings in Shenwu world felt like they were getting closer to the deepest truths of the Tao. This feeling was strange and made everyone happy. Rumble. Just then, somewhere in the desolate country's royal palace, there was a loud rumble. Along with it, endless power of laws boiled and tumbled. Thousands of strands of laws danced in the void. Then these strands of laws gathered together and began to merge and evolve. It was as if a small world had appeared, containing everything in it. Meditative forgetfulness. Little Xingxing has broken through. Other than Xiaofu, Shenwu world finally has its first meditative forgetfulness realm cultivator. Murong Yoruti Wuming and the others sensed this and shouted in joy. At this time, their cultivations were also very high, and they could clearly sense some of the traces within. Everyone found that under the entanglement of Tao, the aura of the Tao was condensed. This was the sign of breaking through to the meditative forgetfulness realm. Once a trace of the Tao's origin power was condensed, the meditative forgetfulness realm would be complete. Yi Wuming, Murong Yorhua, and the others were just about to rejoice, but they soon realized that they had rejoiced too early. Rumble, rumble, rumble. After the first rumble, the whole world seemed to have entered the New Year's Eve. Loud rumbles burst out one after another, rising and falling one after another. Dozens and hundreds of sounds connected together. It was as if a terrifying cannon had exploded, causing the sky to tremble and the world to tremble. It's Xiaojing and Du Xiaoyao, Little Ba, Little Lin, Little Huang Yunlong. Yi Wuming and the others were all stunned. It was as if they had been electrocuted by lightning. They all stood in the huge open space of the desolate country, their eyes dazed. As these rumbles descended, they were all the same as before. Along with the vast power of Tao, they were all fusing together, giving birth to the aura of the Tao. Without a doubt, this was the manifestation of the experts breaking through to the meditative forgetfulness realm. Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchun, Jialo Juayu, Du Xiaoba, Du Xiaohuang, Du Xiaolin Yipiaoling, Chengguyu, and the others. These experts had all broken through to the meditative forgetfulness realm at the same time. Ancient Heaven Sect, Hahuan School, Great Snow Mountain, Divine Temple, Beast Alliance, Saman Sword Sect, Sky Thunder Fortress, all of them have people who have reached the meditative forgetfulness realm. Many people were stunned. The terrifying movements coming from all over the world were too conspicuous. The vast power of Tao surged and shot into the sky, making it difficult for people to ignore. In just a short period of time, terrifying scenes appeared all over the divine martial world, shocking everyone. In the past, the 3 continents, Kyushu, and the other regions of divine martial world all had people who had reached the meditative forgetfulness realm at the same time. Even though there weren't many of these experts in each force, and they couldn't compare to the Huang country, but when added together, there were almost 100 of them. This was an extremely terrifying power that was hard to believe. To know that there were only a few meditative forgetfulness realm cultivators in each of the 33 geniuses. Adding them all together, there were only a few hundred. But now, over 100 meditative forgetfulness realm cultivators had appeared in divine martial world. Divine martial world is really going to rise. Yi Wuming mumbled. His old but energetic face was stunned like a wooden chicken. The change this time caused him to feel incomparably shocked. But this wasn't the end. Under the perception of countless people, there were still violent bursts of energy shooting out from all over the world. As if they were resonating with the hundreds of meditative forgetfulness realm cultivators, layers upon layers of Tao energy appeared and intertwined with each other, like fog rising from the ground. Immortal realm. Many people are breaking through to the immortal realm. Some of the cultivators were shocked. It wasn't hard for them to realize that the Tao energy around the world was boiling. Many living beings who were in isolation were breaking through to the immortal realm. Not only that, even those who weren't in isolation, but were stuck at the peak of the true severing realm, were breaking through to the immortal realm. Comparatively speaking, the appearance of a large number of immortal realm cultivators wasn't as shocking as the appearance of hundreds of meditative forgetfulness realm cultivators. But what was undeniable was that these people were going to become the cornerstone of divine martial world. They were going to be the backbone of this world. Xiaofu, my disciple. The change in divine martial world was shocking, and it shocked all the cultivators in the Huang country. But there was only one person who didn't care about this, and that was Yu Yuqian. The old man had been standing guard outside the Du family's ancestral hall. When the world had just changed, he had rushed to the front of the door. His old eyes shone brightly as he stared motionlessly at the tightly shut door. In Yu Yuqian's eyes, there was only Du Xiaofu. He only hoped that his disciple would wake up. Endless amounts of Tao energy swirled around, and like lightning, it surrounded Yu Yuqian's body. He stared at the Du clan's ancestral shrine, ready to welcome Du Xiaofu's awakening. Inside the terrifying energy, many people felt their strength increasing at a steady pace. This increase wasn't huge, and they weren't able to break through the barrier between realms like other cultivators, but it was still terrifying. After thousands of years, the Huang country once again became a place of opportunity. The cultivators of divine martial world all came here with the mentality of a pilgrimage. They couldn't feel it, but they knew one thing very well. That was that inside the Du clan's ancestral shrine, an unimaginable change was happening. Reality was just as many cultivators thought. When the little black dot in the lightning connected with Du Xiaofu's life force, the two of them seemed to have the same origin and quickly merged together. Following the arrival of the little black dot, Du Xiaofu's life force suddenly released a terrifying amount of energy, and it lit up with a blinding amount of light. This light was like a sharp sword, carrying with it a horrifying amount of killing intent. It pierced through the blood-colored energy that surrounded the life force. The demon ancestor's primal chaos origin, under the illumination of the light, was like snow in a pot of boiling water. In a split second, it began to melt and disappear. After a few hours, all the blood-colored energy, under the attack of the bright light, turned into nothingness. Thick black smoke came out, and then it completely disappeared. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? The moment the demon ancestor's primal chaos origin disappeared, Du Xiaofu's consciousness immediately returned and asked the 3 questions of his soul. Du Xiaofu. In just a few moments, all the memories flooded him like water and drowned him. Everything that happened in the 18 levels of hell, he remembered everything. Busy. After Du Xiaofu's consciousness returned, he sorted out his current state a little. He didn't need to think too much and directly began to transfer his strength to quickly recover. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Between the heaven and earth of Shenwu world, it was as if a storm was brewing. Boundless amounts of energy howled, brushed against the ground, and rushed towards the direction of the Huang country. Very quickly, above the Du family's ancestral temple, a giant whirlpool appeared. It swallowed everything and was sucked into Du Xiaofu. Crack, crack, crack. Outside the ancestral shrine, the array formation that Lu Xiaoyu had laid down was filled with heavenly materials sent over by the powerhouses of the 33 heavens. At this time, these treasures began to break apart one by one. The powerful energy within them flowed out and entered the Du family's ancestral temple. In a short period of time, half of the treasures lost their luster and turned into dust. All of their energy was gone. Xiaofu. Seeing this scene, Yu Yuqian, who was outside the ancestral temple, was shocked. Then, a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. So many treasures had been placed here by Lu Xiaoyu for Du Xiaofu to recover after he woke up. Wasn't this scene a sign that Du Xiaofu had begun to awaken and needed a huge amount of energy to recover his strength? Thinking of this, Yu Yuqian did not hesitate and took out his Qiankuan bag. Crash, crash, crash. Immediately, treasures piled up in front of the ancestral temple. With a light wave of his arm, these treasures shot out and entered the array. After many treasures entered, they all exploded in a moment, turning into the purest energy that gathered in the huge vortex. Quick, open the treasury and take out all the treasures. Soon, Yi Wuming and Murong Yurua also noticed this scene. They had also been paying attention to Du Xiaofu's movements. When they saw this scene, they immediately gave the order and the desolate country's experts all took action. A large number of treasures were taken out and thrown into the array set up by Lu Xiaoyu. They shattered and turned into energy that gathered in the whirlpool. Yi Wuming and the others did not feel the pinch. As the strongest force in this world, the desolate country had collected countless treasures that were constantly being taken out. As long as Du Xiaofu could recover, these investments were nothing. No matter how many treasures there were, they could not be compared to the life of the purple-robed youth. The Rock Emperor is about to recover. We should help. At this time, countless experts had gathered in the desolate country. When they saw the actions of the experts here, they naturally understood what they were doing. The divine battle world had long been united. During the great calamity of the devil religion, the desolate country was the leader. Later on, this place became the holy land for all living things. As long as Du Xiaofu existed, as long as the living things that had survived the calamity did not die, this world would have the strongest cohesive force. Experts arrived at the stone city one after another. The streets could not be squeezed and many people simply floated in the air. They all took out their Qiankuan bags. After taking out some important items, they did not even look at them and directly poured out the treasures inside. The treasures poured out and were all devoured by the array. Some creatures were even more straightforward and directly threw their Qiankuan bags into the array. Boom, boom, boom. The Du family's ancestral hall was in an uproar. The place had become a sea of energy, vast and vigorous energy surging. Under the devouring of the whirlpool, all the energy was sucked into it and turned into the energy that Du Xiaofu needed. Retreat and wait for the Rock Emperor to return. After many creatures contributed their treasures, they all retreated to make room for the people behind them. Everyone was paying attention to the Du family's ancestral hall. They were extremely excited. They wanted to see the young man in purple fly up into the sky and reappear before them. The desolate country could be described as being overcrowded. Not only were there people on the ground, even the air was filled with people. From afar, it looked like a huge flock of birds. However, even though the number of treasures they took out was enormous, they didn't even last for a day before they were all used up. Du Xiaofu was originally heavily wounded. His physical body was disintegrating and his primordial spirit was almost destroyed. The amount of energy he needed to recover right now was unimaginable. After all the treasures turned into dust, the array began to devour the unparalleled energy from heaven and earth. The spiritual energy in the divine battle world was turbulent and the scene was terrifying. The Du family's ancestral hall was like a bottomless pit that continued to devour the energy as if there was no end to it. If things continued to develop like this, the foundation of this world would be shaken as time passed and unimaginable changes would occur. But right now, no one cared about this. As long as the Rock Emperor can return, they can just move to the 33 heavens or the 3,000 boundless worlds. However, Du Xiaofu, who was inside the stone coffin, would not allow this to happen. After absorbing all the energy, his physical body had been reconstructed and was lying quietly inside the stone coffin. Du Xiaofu finally felt that the stone coffin that was passed down in the Du family had a secret that he couldn't imagine before. Under his senses, the stone coffin was faintly connected to the entire world. It was like the center of the divine battle world, the foundation of this world. How is this a stone coffin? This is an object formed by the laws of the Tao. Du Xiaofu was shocked from the bottom of his heart. This wasn't the first time he laid inside this stone coffin, but today was the first time he saw such a secret. The stone coffin was far too extraordinary. Under his gaze, it was formed by lines and lines that resonated strongly with heaven and earth. It was as if as long as he could control this stone coffin, he could control everything in the divine battle world. At this time, if he still believed that this object was left behind by the Du family's ancestor with the heaven's path, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. There must be an even more extraordinary origin for this object. But right now, Du Xiaofu couldn't figure out who made this. Since he could not figure it out, Du Xiaofu stopped thinking about it. Inside the stone coffin, Du Xiaofu gently closed his eyes. I need to finish carving my Tao in one go. He sighed softly. Feeling that the energy in his body was nearing its peak, he stopped absorbing the energy from heaven and earth. He must recover his strength as soon as possible and fight against the demon ancestor. Du Xiaofu knew that since he was able to wake up inside the stone coffin, it meant one thing. The demon ancestor hasn't entered the divine battle world yet. There was still a chance. As long as he could recover quickly, there was hope to stop the demon ancestor's final massacre and return the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds to their former glory. Chapter 2986. Du Xiaofu didn't know the specifics of the current situation, but based on a few things, he could make a rough judgment. If the demon ancestor awakened and started a massacre, Xinwu world wouldn't be peaceful anymore. The countless living beings gathered outside wouldn't be able to wait here so calmly. So, he still had a chance, he still had time. But at the same time, he was also worried. Once the demon ancestor recovered to its peak, it would be a true transmogrification realm. When that time comes, how would he be able to suppress it and kill it? Du Xiaofu lightly exhaled, no longer thinking about these things. Senior brother Lu Xiaoyu was still controlling the outside world. What he needed to do now was to carve out his Tao completely and truly step into the carrier realm. Begin! Du Xiaofu calmed his mind and felt the small black dot on his Yuan Shen. This was his own Tao, different from Great God Pan Gu, Great Luo Tianzuan, and the demon ancestor. This was something that truly belonged to him. Du Xiaofu gathered all the energy in his body and channeled it into his mind's Naiwen palace. Just like before, he condensed an extremely sharp thin sword and began to chase after his scarlet horse monkey Yuan Shen. This step required an extremely strong belief and willpower. The thin sword was incomparably terrifying, causing one's primordial spirit to feel an instinctive sense of terror and fear, causing it to constantly retreat. However, with his first successful experience, Du Xiaofu's second attempt was much smoother than the previous one. Not long after, he finally restrained his origin spirit tightly and used a thin sword to carve out a fine pattern on it. His own Tao represented breaking free from the shackles of heaven and earth, breaking free from the shackles of heaven and earth. It had an unimaginable meaning. The carrier realm meant that he was truly separated from the greater thousand worlds. Even if heaven and earth were to be destroyed and he lost his vessel, he would still be able to continue living. Du Xiaofu calmly carved out one mark after another on his Yuan Shun during this process. In the outside world, countless living beings in Shenwu world stared at the Du family's ancestral hall with shining eyes. At this time, the terrifying commotion had stopped, and the heaven and earth energy no longer surged. Rock Emperor. All of the living beings were eagerly anticipating the appearance of the purple-robed young man. They weren't in a hurry. They just quietly waited where they were and looked at the Du family's ancestral house. But suddenly, just as Du Xiaofu started to carve the marks on his Yuan Shin, all the living beings in Shenwu world trembled. In an instant, countless people sat down cross-legged on the ground. Their eyes naturally closed, and their bodies emitted vigorous energy waves. The entire realm was like this, and not a single creature was an exception. As such, only Yu Yuqian, who had come from the 3,000 great worlds, remained conscious. The old man's heart skipped a beat, but he quickly came to a realization and couldn't help but exclaim, Zai Dao. Xiaofu is breaking through to the Dao carrier realm. This situation caused Yu Yuqian to be shocked, but at the same time, he was filled with endless joy. To him, this wasn't something that was hard to understand. Back in the 18 layers of hell, when Du Xiaofu broke through to half-step Dao carrier realm, the Du family's bloodline had already shown a similar situation, and Lu Xiaoyu and the others had also told him about it. Now that the same thing was happening again, Yu Yuqian immediately understood the reason. Du Xiaofu and Shenwu world had always had an inseparable relationship. He controlled the laws of heaven, and could be said to be one with this world. Every time Du Xiaofu broke through, Shenwu world would change greatly. The countless living beings that were born in Shenwu world and grew up in Shenwu world were all products of the Grand Dao. Their bodies were carved with the Grand Dao, and as Du Xiaofu began to carve his own Dao, they would also receive unimaginable benefits. Sure enough, as soon as Yu Yuqian realized this, a terrifying explosion resounded throughout the world. The heaven and earth energy that had just calmed down began to boil again, forming spirit energy ribbons that flowed like rivers in the sky, or dragons dancing in the air. This world is really going to rise again. Yu Yuqian muttered as tears began to roll down his cheeks. He wasn't excited about the changes in Shenwu world, but because Du Xiaofu had awakened. The stronger Shenwu world was, the stronger Du Xiaofu would be. That purple-robed youth was really going to return. After waiting for thousands of years, the steps in front of the Du family's ancestral hall had been polished until they were shiny because of his long hours of meditation. Yu Yuqian had waited for this day for far too long. Luckily, it was finally here. In the endless void, all the stars had already been destroyed, and even the dust had been driven away. Lu Xiaofu and the demon ancestor were in the midst of a fierce battle. Both of them were at the enchanting realm, and the power they unleashed was enough to destroy the world. The demon ancestor wasn't in a hurry to kill Lu Xiaofu. He had his own plans. His strength was slightly higher than his opponent, and killing Lu Xiaofu was only a matter of time. Moreover, to kill someone at the enchanting realm like him wasn't an easy task. Lu Xiaofu wasn't in a hurry either. Every time he swung blood sword, it was as if he was going to split the world apart. Xiaolong, Di Bat-yin, Donghuang Taixien, Yanggua, and Lu Xintong had already retreated far away, but they could still feel the intensity of the battle. Lu Xiaofu, why are you so stubborn? You'll never be able to defeat me, and you won't be able to escape death in the end. The demon ancestor's tall and sturdy figure stood in the void. He opened his mouth and inhaled. The void shattered and turned into chaos as it was sucked into his stomach. Lu Xiaofu was swept up by this power, and his body swayed. The scarlet-red aura wrapped around his body, trying to drag him into the demon ancestor's mouth. However, when he swung his sword down, the terrifying sword light was like a rainbow that pierced through the sky. It brazenly dispersed the demon ancestor's aura, and he broke free. Is that so? Why don't we make a bet? I bet that the person who dies in the end will be you. Lu Xiaofu walked around leisurely. As he exchanged blows with Luo Ho again and again, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. He looked at the huge demon ancestor as he spoke. Between his words, there was actually an inexhaustible sense of confidence. Such an expression stunned the demon ancestor, and a strange feeling arose in his heart. He couldn't figure out where Lu Xiaoyou's confidence came from to actually say such words to him. Luoho had just broken through to the enchanting realm, and his cultivation was slightly lower than his. In addition, he had the immortal body. No matter how one looked at it, Luoho had the absolute advantage. As long as Lu Xiaofu fought with him to the end, Luoho believed that Lu Xiaofu would die without a burial place. Why would he dare to clamor here? Suddenly, Luoho felt a special fluctuation. His expression froze, and his eyes, which were as red as two bloody suns, suddenly narrowed. After quietly sensing for a while, his expression suddenly changed, as if he had learned something unimaginable. On his face that had been filled with endless violence, there was a hint of panic. Although this panic was quickly covered up by him, it was caught by Lu Xiaofu's sharp senses. Du Xiaofu, that brat, didn't die. Luoho looked at Lu Xiaofu and said in a deep voice. Just as he sensed, there was a terrifying amount of energy coming from the Shenwu world. Even though there was an immeasurable distance between them, he could still sense it. This fluctuation was extraordinary. It was as if an ancient soul had awakened from its slumber, and it was getting stronger and stronger. At this moment, the entire Shenwu world was filled with an indescribable charm. It was extremely terrifying. In Luoho's perception, it was as if the ancient Lord Daluo had awakened. This caused the demon ancestor to have an extremely bad feeling. Du Xiaofu sure is tough. I used the origin of chaos to suppress him, and he still didn't die. Luoho gritted his teeth and stared at Lu Xiaofu. He knew that Lu Xiaofu had a part to play in this. But what he couldn't figure out was that with Du Xiaofu's strength back then, even with Lu Xiaoyou's help, it was impossible for him to really survive, let alone now that he had awakened and his strength was rapidly recovering. All of this made the demon ancestor's chi surge, and he was boiling with anger. I didn't think the demon ancestor would have such a violent side. Lu Xiaofu stood up, and the smile on his face deepened. He said softly, "My junior brother Du Xiaofu didn't die. This is indeed out of your expectations. But with your knowledge, it shouldn't be hard for you to figure out the key to this, right? You can say that as long as a sliver of his true spirit isn't destroyed, with the Daluo Sky's existence, his recovery is only a matter of time. To be honest, I didn't expect him to be able to awaken so quickly, just in time for this critical moment." Lu Xiaofu said, and he seemed extremely relaxed. Hearing such words, the demon ancestor's face became even more solemn. How could he not know the uniqueness of the Daluo Sky? He also knew the origin of the Du family's bloodline. He also knew why Lu Xiaofu said that as long as Du Xiaofu kept a sliver of his true spirit, he wouldn't be destroyed. It was just that the purple-robed youth had really endured his ferocious attack. With his cultivation back then, he shouldn't have been able to withstand it. But the truth was so unexpected. With Lu Xiaofu's help, that kid had done it. The demon ancestor finally felt threatened. Du Xiaofu's existence was like a knife hanging over his head. So even if Lu Xiaofu had broken through to the phenomenal state, he didn't feel any fear. Even if the god and demon who had opened up the 3,000 boundless worlds returned, Luoho still had the confidence to fight with the two of them. To put it even more harshly, even if he was suppressed like he was in the ancient times, so what? Many years later, he would return again. This was the true strength of the undying body. But now, it was different. Du Xiaofu, that kid, was indeed someone who could kill him. Why are you in a daze? Let's continue the fight. Lu Xiaofu suddenly shouted. Taking advantage of the demon ancestor's daze, a terrifying saber light whirled down, breaking through the void and directly descending in front of the demon ancestor. Even when he attacked, he still had a smile on his face. He looked at Luoho indifferently as if he was saying to him, "Are you surprised? Are you surprised? So what if Du Xiaofu isn't dead? If I want to kill him, it's not difficult at all. Presumably, even if he recovers, he's at most in the carrier realm. It's just a matter of one blow." The demon ancestor moved brazenly. His pair of sharp claws tore the heavens and split the earth, shattering Lu Xiaofu's saber light. Then his body flashed. He was planning to leave this place. Luo Ho's plan was very simple. Since Du Xiaofu was the person who posed the greatest threat to him, he would kill him first. With his cultivation, once he went all out in the 33 heavens and Daluocean, even Lu Xiaofu would be wary. Under such circumstances, as long as he entered Daluocean, Du Xiaofu would be dead for sure. At least, with his cultivation, he wouldn't be able to resist his all-out attack. Do you think I'll let you succeed? Lu Xiaofu immediately saw through the demon ancestor's plan. His eyes instantly turned cold as he looked at him. The saber in his hand slashed out like a waterfall, instantly blocking in front of the demon ancestor. Immediately after, chaotic energy rolled out from Lu Xiaofu's body, spreading out in the void, causing the huge space to turn into a chaotic ocean. Luo Ho's body was wrapped in this chaotic ocean, tightly binding him. His body that was about to leave paused, and he had no choice but to turn around and face Lu Xiaofu's attack. Lu Xiaofu, you can't stop me! Luo Ho was really angry this time. His body rose and fell, and his violent and fiendish aura surged into the sky. He wantonly moved through Lu Xiaofu's chaotic ocean, and every time he passed, all the chaotic energy would be broken. Do you think you still have a chance to turn the tables? Lu Xiaoyu bellowed as he pounced forward. In his hand, terrifying saber light shot out one after another, punishing the heavens and destroying the earth, constantly slashing at Luo Ho. Lu Xiaofu knew that he could not let Luo Ho successfully escape. Otherwise, with his strength, if he really entered the 33 heavens, he would bring a terrible disaster to the creatures there. At the same time, his junior brother Du Xiaofu's life would also be threatened. Therefore, he directly used his full strength and began to fight with his life on the line. Lu Xiaofu, I'll turn you into ashes and never let you reincarnate. Luo Ho roared, almost crazy, and created terrifying collisions with Lu Xiaofu again and again. The void disintegrated one after another under the confrontation between the two. The scene was extremely shocking. The chaotic light burst out, and the entire space was about to explode. In the distance, the only world left in the entire universe, Earth, was like a withered leaf, suffering the attack of the storm, wantonly fluttering. Outside Earth, the protective light shield flickered and was about to shatter. The demon Alpha and Lu Xiaoyu were far too powerful. Just the shock waves from their attacks had such terrifying power. The two fought crazily, and as time went by, Luo Ho became more and more furious. Both of them fought with a strong bloodlust, and no longer held back, fiercely clashing. Lu Xiaofu's chest was hit by the demon ancestor, and a few hideous bloody wounds appeared, with black gas coming out, and it was difficult to heal. Luo Ho's abdomen was also slashed by the Bloodslayer, and there was a long and thin wound on it. This battle was too terrifying, and it almost turned the entire void upside down. Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong had already retreated to the Divine Demon Battlefield's location, and they were all shocked by the battle from afar. No one dared to go closer to observe, because a battle between two enchanting realms was not something they could touch. Divine Battle World. The entire world was shaking, and there was a series of rumbling sounds. The scale of the world expanded again, and the spiritual energy became thicker like mist. With Du Xiaofu's breakthrough, an unimaginable change began to happen. Du Xiaofu was carving his own Tao. On his red horse monkey primordial spirit, lines and lines were carved out by the thin sword, and they looked like veins and blood vessels covering the surface of his body. Heaven and earth were resonating, and the laws were rumbling. The world was filled with the sound of the great Tao, and countless living beings were listening to the sound of the great Tao, and their cultivation and strength were rapidly increasing. Those who had broken through the meditative and immortal realms long ago were once again making great strides. Not long after, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoba, and the others were all close to the second stage of meditative forgetfulness, the Oblivion Realm. Many low-level immortal realms directly stepped into mid-level immortal realms, and mid-level immortal realms instantly reached high-level immortal realms. This change was too shocking. The overall strength of the living beings in the Shenwu world seemed to be on par with the 33 heavens in just one day. Hundreds of meditative forgetfulness, and a large number of immortal realms. So many powerhouses, if placed in the past, would be unimaginable. None of this lasted for too long. The cultivation of many living beings was like an arrow piercing through the clouds, and then it stopped. Swish, swish, swish. When everything stopped, one figure after another rushed out from the desolate country. Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchun, Du Xiaohuang, Jialo Jueyu, and the others were all in this group. In other parts of the world, a large number of figures flashed and directly arrived in the desolate country, above the Du family's ancestral hall, and stood with countless living beings. There were both meditative and immortal realms. Boom! Not long after the arrival of many living beings, a loud rumble came from the Du family's ancestral hall. Tens of thousands of rays of light shot into the sky, dazzling the world. In the next moment, under everyone's gaze, a purple-robed figure appeared, standing in midair. His aura was as deep as the abyss, as vast as the ocean. Seeing this figure appear, the countless living beings in the Shenwu world couldn't help but become excited. Many people's faces turned red, and some even began to cry. "Greetings, Rock Emperor! Greetings, Rock Emperor!" One by one, the figures bowed down, and the sound of their voices reverberated for thousands of miles. Facing the purple-robed figure, the living beings in the Shenwu world let out a roar that had been suppressed in their hearts for thousands of years. Chapter 2987. The Rock Emperor has returned. This is great. After thousands of years, the Rock Emperor has finally awoken, and his cultivation has greatly improved, reaching the peak. The people of Shenwu world have finally waited for this day. Many people were cheering in their hearts, extremely excited. The happiest people were naturally the people of the Huang country and the Du family. Xiaofu, father, brother. In an instant, Yi Wuming, Murong Yorua, Du Tingxian, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaohuang, Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaoqing, and the others all rushed to Du Xiaofu's side, looking at him excitedly. Everyone's face was filled with boundless joy. Du Xiaofu's awakening was a great piece of news. "Xiaofu, my disciple." Yu Yuqian was already in tears, looking at the purple-robed young man in front of him, his lips trembling. He had waited for this day for far too long. For other strong cultivators, these thousands of years could be spent in seclusion. But with Yu Yuqian's talent, cultivation was no longer of much use, and he could only endure the torment and worry every day. "Master." Seeing the old man's haggard face, Du Xiaofu also felt bitter. "Your disciple is unfilial, I've made you worry." As he spoke, he knelt down, his eyes red. Get up, get up. It's good that you're awake. It's good that you're awake." Yu Yuqian hurriedly helped Du Xiaofu up, his old face full of smiles as he spoke. It was as if in an instant, Yu Yuqian became dozens of years younger, and the emotions that had been suppressed for thousands of years were suddenly released. Shenwu world and the living beings here have changed so much? Du Xiaofu sensed the emotions of everyone around him, and everything was under his control. When he discovered the existence of close to 100 meditators and countless immortal realm cultivators, he was also shocked. Furthermore, Shenwu world's scale had once again greatly expanded, which was also very shocking. Du Xiaofu couldn't help but sigh. This world had truly risen, and it was no longer weaker than the 33 heavens as a whole. Rock Emperor, the demon ancestor has probably already recovered, and the strong cultivators of the 3,000 boundless worlds and 33 heavens have already gathered at the divine demon battlefield to prepare for battle. Now that our Shenwu world strength has increased greatly, we can put it to good use. Please lead us to battle. At this moment, a living being from the crowd shouted, "The sky." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone instantly boiled with excitement. Everyone was filled with passion and incomparable excitement. That's right. It is said that the Lord of the 3,000 boundless worlds is in seclusion to break through to the imageless realm, but he has yet to return. With the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, it is impossible to stop the devil ancestor. Why don't you lead us to attack and fight the devil ancestor to the end? Rock Emperor, Shen Wu world has risen, it won't be a burden anymore, lead us to battle. Rock Emperor, please lead us to battle. In an instant, countless people in the field spoke out, all of them asking Du Xiaofu to fight. To the living beings of this world, they had been suppressed for far too long. Ever since the devil religion's calamity, the existence of the 33 heavens was revealed, and their lack of strength was revealed. The Rock Emperor left and quickly rose to power in the 33 heavens, but they couldn't do anything to help. After that, the demon race reappeared, chaos reappeared, and all the worlds were faced with great danger. The living beings of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds all came out to fight against the demon race. But Shenwu world was still the same, their strength was too limited, and they couldn't do anything. So in these years, they worked hard to cultivate, all for the sake of being able to represent Shenwu world in battle. However, when the Great War broke out, under the arrangements of the ruler of the 3,000 sectors, Lu Xiaoyu, and under the leadership of the great Rock Emperor Du Xiaofu, the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors worked together to defeat the fiend ancestor. In the end, he was completely wiped out, leaving only the fiend ancestor Rao. All of this, the living beings of Shenwu world could only watch without being able to do anything. They could only sigh, this world's starting point was too low, it couldn't be compared to the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds. But now, it was different. During the final battle all those years ago, the demon ancestor ambushed the great Rock Emperor and severely injured him. Everyone in Shenwu world had been waiting for this day, waiting for their strength to be able to shoulder some of the burden for the great Rock Emperor and the people of the 3,000 great worlds. So, their battle intent had reached an extreme point, they couldn't hold it in anymore, they just wanted to fight. Right now, the Lord of 3,000 boundless worlds, Lu Xiaofu's situation was unknown. The powerhouses of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds were facing the demon ancestor alone. It was very dangerous, so all the living beings of Shenwu world wanted to contribute their strength. At this moment, everyone was looking at Du Xiaofu with anticipation, looking at the purple-robed young man in the air, hoping that they would agree. Du Xiaofu fell into a short silence. After thinking for a while, he shouted, Shenwu world immediately departs, follow me to fight the demon ancestor. Hua, all the living beings of Shenwu world were in an uproar. Everyone's mind was in turmoil, as if they were injected with a cardiac stimulant, they exploded into a huge clamor. Looking at this scene, Du Xiaofu's heart was filled with emotions. This world had truly risen. It was strong enough to face an extremely strong challenge. As for himself, his primordial spirit was filled with dense marks of the great Tao. This was Du Xiaofu's own Tao. It was very different from Pangu's, Heavenly Lord Daluo's, and the others. Back then, when he controlled the Heavenly Tao of Shenwu world, Du Xiaofu formed a close connection with this world, making him the ruler of this world. But now, Du Xiaofu had created a new world, one that was completely carved out by himself. The former relied on the Shenwu world left behind by Heavenly Lord Daluo, while the latter was the result of Du Xiaofu's own efforts. He believed that in the future, all of this would lead him to a higher place. From there, he would be able to create a new world, just like the ancient gods and demons that walked out from the chaos. His senior apprentice brother Lu Xiaofu had such spirit, so naturally, Du Xiaofu had it too. Follow me to battle. Looking at the countless living beings, Du Xiaofu used the power of his primordial spirit to investigate the situation in the 33 heavens. Then, with a deep shout, he led countless powerhouses into the sky and charged out of Daluo heaven. In the void where Earth was, Lu Xiaofu and Rahu were fighting crazily. Both of them had serious injuries on their bodies, and blood was spurting out. Demon ancestor Rahu's scarlet hair looked as if it had been scratched by a monkey. Many places were bald, and there were knife marks crisscrossing across his body. Demonic blood flowed. Lu Xiaofu's green robes had long been torn apart. His body was covered in claw marks, and he was emitting a strong demonic aura. The two of them fought without holding back. This space had already begun to disintegrate, and a terrifying chaotic vortex appeared, swallowing everything. One could imagine that if the battle continued, this place would no longer exist. It would return to chaos or even nothingness. Lu Xiaofu, this ancestor will tear you to pieces. Rahu roared, shaking the heavens and earth as he killed his way through the endless void. In his original plan, he had wanted to kill Du Xiaofu first, and then have the final battle with Lu Xiaoyu. But it wasn't that he didn't want to leave and directly charged into Shenwu world. It was just that Lu Xiaofu was too crazy and was fighting with his life on the line. This infuriated Luo Ho to the extreme, but there was nothing he could do. Once he was heavily injured here, even if he killed Lu Xiaofu in the end, when Du Xiaofu arrived, he wouldn't be able to escape the fate of death. The demon ancestor had already seen through all of this. He only wanted to escape from this battle as soon as possible. But obviously, Lu Xiaofu wouldn't let him go. Although his opponent's strength was slightly weaker than his, if he fought with his life on the line, even Raho had to be careful. I'm afraid I can't let you do as you wish. In the end, it's not your turn to be so arrogant in this world. I, Lu Xiaofu, am not afraid of death, but you don't dare to fight to the death with me. So I'll say it again, the one who dies in the end will be you. Lu Xiaofu's face had already turned serious as he spoke in a low voice. The long saber in his hand slashed down again, and it was extremely terrifying. The terrifying power of the Grand Tao leaked out from his body, and it could really destroy the world. As an existence of the illusionary realm, he had the power to split the heavens and earth. In battle, every move he made had terrifying killing power. He kept forcing Ancestor Mo, dragging him to fight with him. Everything seemed to have returned to the last battle of the past. Back then, Lu Xiaofu planned to push the demon ancestor to the limit, and then let Xiaolong, Dibadian, and the others suppress him. Finally, he would rely on Du Xiaofu to kill the demon ancestor. And now it was the same. He only needed to use the illusionary realm to fight the demon ancestor to the end. When his junior brother Du Xiaofu arrived, he might be able to finish off the demon ancestor. The events of the past and the present were extremely similar. This was something that no one had expected. But to Lu Xiaofu, he was just following his original plan. A terrifying roar came out of his mouth. Lu Xiaofu's long saber struck the sky, and the saber light was shocking. The light of chaos shot out like a giant dragon and attacked the demon ancestor. In an instant, the two of them fought together again, and an unimaginable collision broke out. The world of Earth in the distance, under the protection of the hazy light shield, was like a withered leaf in the wind and rain, swaying up and down without a fixed place. Luo Ho was held back by Lu Xiaofu and fell into a fierce battle, unable to escape. The injuries on the two of them were getting more and more serious. A bright saber light slashed across and directly cut open the demon ancestor's chest, revealing his organs. And Lu Xiaofu didn't have it easy either. The demon ancestor clawed deeply into his chest, and his flesh was torn open. His heart was grabbed by the other party's claw. But he wasn't moved. He raised his saber again, and the demon ancestor's throat was cut open amidst the trembling sound of the blood slash. Although such an injury was extremely terrifying, it wasn't fatal to the two existences of the illusionary realm. The two great experts were using this kind of method to kill each other, injuring the enemy by 1,000 but also injuring themselves by 800. Lu Xiaofu, do you really think you can stop me? Du Xiaofu must die, and no one in this world can stop it. In the end, the demon ancestor was about to go crazy. He roared and retreated with all his might, pulling a long distance away from Lu Xiaoyu. Then his demonic body suddenly trembled, and his lower abdomen shone brightly. The blood-red radiance was 1,000,000 times brighter than the sun. A vast demonic aura burst out from his lower abdomen, and an ancient and mysterious aura burst out, as if it had a life of its own. This is... Lu Xiaofu's gaze suddenly froze, and his mouth opened slightly as he looked at the demon ancestor in disbelief. Lu Xiaofu, you forced me to do this. You think that by killing countless demon ancestors, you can really make the 33 heavens peaceful? I'm afraid you don't even know that I have a world that has already been successfully opened. The demon ancestor suddenly laughed savagely as he looked at Lu Xiaofu and said. The light in his lower abdomen became more and more dazzling. Even with Lu Xiaofu's strength, he felt a burning pain in his primordial spirit. It was as if a ball of fire was being nurtured there, and the vitality was vigorous. However, this kind of vitality was no different from the demon ancestor in the past, containing a thick, bloody, and ruthless aura. Under Lu Xiaofu's gaze, the light on the demon ancestor's body finally reached an extreme, as if it was boiling. Whoosh! In the next instant, a powerful force instantly surged out, directly filling this boundless space. The mountains, rivers, trees, and rivers were like illusions, directly appearing in front of them. A living creature with wings on its back swept across the sky, and its entire body emitted a terrifying feeling of power, incomparably powerful. In the forest, there were existences similar to the beast race, with dense fangs. When they opened their bloody mouths, a fishy wind swept through the 9 heavens. There were also living creatures with blade-like arms, appearing and disappearing in the world. Every one of them had profound cultivation, as if with a wave of their arms, they could split the world and sever the great Tao. Seeing all of this, Lu Xiaoyu was shocked. This was a brand new world, different from the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the original demon world. He had rarely seen the living creatures here. Other than being incomparably powerful, they all had a common characteristic, and that was that they all carried the power of slaughter. Lu Xiaofu had never thought that the demon ancestor would open up another world and give birth to such living creatures. What shocked him the most was that when he probed with the power of his primordial spirit, he actually found 2 existences of the Tao-bearing realm. Instantly, Lu Xiaofu's heart tightened. All of this had happened too suddenly, and he was completely unprepared. If he could restrain the demon ancestor alone, then these endless living creatures could directly kill their way into the 33 heavens and even pose a threat to his junior brother Du Xiaofu. Sweep the 33 heavens and kill Du Xiaofu. The demon ancestor's figure appeared again. He stood in the void and gave the order. Soon after, countless figures soared into the sky and let out a series of strange laughter. After a simple sweep, Lu Xiaofu roughly grasped the strength and numbers of these living creatures. There are at least 600 seeded forgetfulness and 10 million immortal. In addition, there are 2 Tao-bearing realm experts. These are newly born demons. Cold sweat seeped out of Lu Xiaofu's forehead as he muttered softly. These newly born demons were very different from the 9 demon generals and 2 demon attendants of the past, but they were all incomparably powerful. If one only looked at the seeded forgetfulness and immortal realms, then the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds together were not impossible to fight. However, there were 2 Tao-bearing realm experts among these demons. If they were allowed to kill their way into the 33 heavens, the situation would be terrible. Lu Xiaofu already knew that his junior brother Du Xiaofu had awakened, and his cultivation should have completely stepped into the Tao-bearing realm. But how could he possibly stop 2 Tao-bearers by himself? This made Lu Xiaofu's heart grow heavier than ever. The changes brought about by Luo Ho were too unexpected. Kill! Lu Xiaofu thought for a moment, then his figure shot out and rushed towards the 2 Tao-bearing realm experts. He had to kill at least one so that his junior brother Du Xiaofu could truly be free of worries. However, how could the demon ancestor give him such a chance? The tall and majestic demon caught up and clawed at Lu Xiaofu's waist, tearing off a chunk of flesh, revealing his spine. Kikik. Lu Xiaofu, you've always been against this ancestor, so today, this ancestor will play with you. Luo Ho laughed strangely, holding Lu Xiaofu back with all his strength. A terrifying battle broke out between the 2 again. Lu Xiaofu tried to break free from the demon ancestor's entanglement several times to kill one of the Tao-bearing realm experts, but he was tightly held back. This time, the 2's situation had reversed. Luo Ho, who was originally held back by Lu Xiaofu, wanted to restrain Lu Xiaofu in this world. His goal was very simple, and that was to use the brand new demon experts born in this world to slaughter the 33 heavens. Under the leadership of two Dao-bearing realm experts, even if Du Xiaofu appeared, it would be impossible for him to resist these people. In this way, victory would still be in his grasp in the end. Accept your fate, Lu Xiaofu. You can't beat this ancestor. The demon ancestor sneered and clawed at the void, almost tearing this world apart. The mountains and earth collapsed and exploded. The scene was terrifying. However, he didn't care about this at all. He just wanted to keep Lu Xiaofu here. Facing such a situation, Lu Xiaofu's face was extremely solemn, and he didn't speak. He just kept fighting with the demon ancestor, and the blood slash attacked again and again, erupting with heaven-shaking power. In the end, this newly established world was really directly shattered into 6 pieces by the hands of these two great peerless phenomenon experts. It was unknown how many of these weak beings had died. This scene was too shocking, and it was similar to the ancient times. In the battle at that time, Pangu world and the demon world were both shattered, turning into the 33 heavens and the 18 layers of hell, respectively. While these two experts were fighting, the countless demon clan experts that were born from this world majestically soared into the sky. They quickly rushed out of this world and headed towards the 33 heavens. The figures that blotted out the sky moved, like flying locusts, and soon entered the boundless void. Chapter 2988. Kill. A terrifying roar reverberated through the air, shaking the heavens and earth. Countless figures soared into the sky, their shadows indistinct and dense as they charged out from the new devil race world. No one had expected that the devil ancestor would open up another world and give birth to so many powerful devil race members. One of the two Dao vessel realm experts in the lead had a back that was covered in bone spikes that pierced towards the sky. He was like a devil from the abyss, and he carried boundless ferocious aura that seemed capable of destroying the sky and penetrating the earth. The other one's entire body was covered in pitch-black scales that emitted a metallic luster. Even his head and face were covered in scales. His eyes were filled with a frightening and dense light. The two of them took the lead, leading the endless devil race army to attack the 33 heavens. It didn't take long for Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taishen, Yanghua, Lu Xintong, and the others to discover this scene. Each of them was shocked. Under their gazes, the devil race arrived, blotting out the sky and covering the earth like a swarm of locusts, their murderous intent spreading in all directions. When these figures entered their field of vision, the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds felt their scalps go numb. When the new world rushed out from the devil ancestor's body, it set off a terrifying commotion, but before they could really react, they saw so many terrifying figures rushing over. They knew that all of this must have something to do with the devil ancestor, but who would have thought that the devil race would have so many powerful existences? So many devil race experts were too terrifying, especially the two true experts of the Dao-bearing realm. Even from afar, there was an oppressive force that swept over, making it difficult to breathe. Prepare for battle. An expert shouted, his voice shaking the sky. Everyone felt the pressure double. If it were just ordinary devil race experts, they wouldn't feel so much pressure. However, there were two experts of the Dao-bearing realm among them. Compared to the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, this was an existence that could completely crush them. The 5 of us will do our best to stall those 2 Dao carriers. As for the rest, kill them all. Xiaolong said after exchanging glances with Di Batian, Donghuang Taishen, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong. The 5 of them immediately charged out, bringing along terrifying energy fluctuations as they charged towards the demon army. The powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds followed behind. Everyone raised their weapons, their killing intent surging outwards. Let's fight the demons. Even if I die, I won't let them take a single step into the 33 heavens. Countless experts roared, their auras surging as they charged forward with all their might. In the blink of an eye, the two armies collided and began a terrifying battle. Xiaolong's group of 5 blocked the 2 Dao-carrying Devil Race's experts, and a terrifying battle broke out between them. Kik-kik, eerie and terrifying voices rang out from the throats of the 2 Dao bearers of the Devil Race. Their cold laughter made one's hair stand on end. Xiaolong's group of 5 felt an endless weight in their hearts as they moved with all their might, tightly surrounding the 2 Dao-carrying Devil Race experts. They knew in their hearts that with the strength of the 5 of them, it was impossible for them to truly block the 2 Dao-carrying Devil Race experts. Looking at the number of other experts of the Devil Race, they were faintly suppressing the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. This was an incomparably terrifying matter. In such a battle, it wouldn't be long before their side suffered a great defeat, and they wouldn't even have the ability to escape. However, things had already come to this point, and they couldn't care less. Even if they couldn't win, they had to fight. Kill! Xiaolong roared, and his azure dragon physique materialized. His immeasurable dragon physique stretched across the void like an endless mountain range. It was incomparably terrifying. Di Batian and Donghuang Taishan also made their moves. The former formed a series of mysterious hand seals, forming an incomparably huge swastika symbol, and brazenly pressed down. The heavy sword in Yanggua's hand slashed down like a mountain, blotting out the sky and covering the sun. Large amounts of dark green qi flowed out from Lu Xintong's body, turning into a terrifying poisonous qi that could corrode anything. Kill them, then go find that Du Xiaofu. The 2 Dao-carrying Devil Race experts didn't put these people in their eyes at all. With their strength, even if there were 5 more half-step Dao-carrying Devil Race experts, they wouldn't be able to stop their slaughter. Under the orders of the Devil Ancestor, their real goal was to kill their way to Shenwu World, and kill that young man called Du Xiaofu. Therefore, when faced with the joint attack of Xiaolong's group of 5, the 2 Dao-carrying Devil Race experts didn't hesitate to attack. Huge bone spikes pointed towards the sky from the back of one of them, and with a bend of his body, he shot out like a mountain towards Xiaolong at the same time. A slender devil blade appeared in the other's hand out of thin air, seemingly made from the bones of some kind of terrifying beast, and the killing intent it exuded was awe-inspiring. Rumble! As everyone attacked, a terrifying power surged out crazily. The 2 Dao-carrying Devil Race experts were incomparably terrifying, and as soon as they launched their attacks, they directly crushed heaven and earth. Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taishan Yanggua, and Lu Xintong were instantly sent flying by the powerful force. The immeasurably long azure dragon's body rolled in the void, smashing one area after another into chaos. It was unknown how many experts from the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the Devil Race died under the dragon's body, and their blood dyed the sky red. Di Batian's hand seal was also shattered in the blink of an eye, and turned into nothingness. The other 3 were in a similar situation, and Donghuang Taishuan's arm was almost cut off by the other Dao-carrying Devil Race expert's blade. In just a single exchange, they had fallen into an absolute disadvantage. Kill! In response, the 2 Dao-carrying Devil Race experts only laughed coldly, and their mouths continuously emitted sinister sounds. The 2 of them didn't even glance at the fierce battle around them, and only wanted to break through the blockade of the 5 Dao-carrying Devil Race experts as soon as possible and find Du Xiaofu. However, the aftermath of the collision here caused a large number of figures to be crushed into blood mist and turned into nothingness. The Devil Race actually has 2 Dao-carrying Devil Race experts. This is too terrifying. Uncle Xiaolong and the others definitely won't be able to resist. In the midst of the battle, Lu Jingyun's brows were deeply furrowed, and he muttered to himself solemnly. He was extremely anxious, but there was nothing he could do to help. In front of a true Dao-carrying Devil Race expert, his cultivation at the 3rd level of the meditative realm was too weak, and he couldn't be of much use. What should we do now? If this continues, we will be defeated very quickly, and Father, Uncle Yanggua, Aunt Xintong, and the others will be in danger. The haze in Long Kei's heart was heavy, and it felt like a heavy mountain was pressing down on him. I didn't expect the devil ancestor to have such a method and actually opened up a whole new world, and we didn't even receive any news about it. The surrounding experts from the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds were also under great pressure. In the battles several thousand years ago, the devil race in the 18 layers of hell had been completely crushed by them. Even the entire 18 layers of hell had been destroyed in the battle between Lu Xiaoyu and the devil ancestor. Other than that, when Xiaolong and the others had rescued the 5 ancient Tao-carrying devils with blood spear, the devil race's world had been turned into nothingness. At that time, the devil race had suddenly mobilized a powerful force to repel Lu Xiaoyu and then ambush Du Xiaofu, thus destroying all the original plans. Otherwise, if everything had gone according to the arrangements of the 3,000 boundless worlds overlords, the devil ancestor would have died long ago. Perhaps, at that time, the devil race's world had already been opened up and the power inside had been mobilized by the devil ancestor Rahu to repel Lu Xiaoyu. I'm afraid it's not just that. The devil race's world is not something that can be born in just a few thousand years. Perhaps he had already made all these arrangements in the ancient era. Lu Jingyun said solemnly. He felt that this speculation was probably true. In a short few thousand years, the devil ancestor might have been able to open up a new world, but the living beings inside definitely wouldn't have grown to such a terrifying extent, giving birth to 2 Tao-carrying realm experts. Moreover, in the countless years before that, the devil ancestor had been suppressed by Pangu and Heavenly Lord Absolute. If all of this could be traced back, it could only be from the ancient era. Perhaps, even Pangu and Heavenly Lord Absolute had never imagined that the devil ancestor had opened up a new world. Otherwise, those 2 terrifying experts would never have allowed this world to continue growing. The only thing they didn't know was how the devil ancestor Rahu had done it. Kill! A terrifying battle raged on, and the 2 forces fought to the point of madness. After Xiaolong, Dibadian, and the other 4 half-step Tao-carrying realm experts were ruthlessly repelled, they gathered together again and formed a new round of encirclement. Every one of them had suffered heavy injuries, and their strength had been greatly reduced. Everyone was thinking in their hearts that perhaps today would really be the day of their deaths. But at this moment, if they didn't fight with their lives on the line, they would only die faster. Lu Xiaoyu was held back by the devil ancestor, and the situation was unclear. It was likely that no one in the world could help them anymore. Unless the creator of the 3,000 boundless worlds, Senior Spirit Creation, could return and join the battle. It's a pity that we don't know where Senior Spirit Creation went, and we don't know what the situation is like now. Did he encounter any trouble? Xiaolong knew more about Senior Spirit Creation than anyone else. His boss, Lu Xiaoyu, had once told him that Senior Spirit Creation had gone to search for some ultimate secrets, and Lu Xiaoyu had even brought Xiaolong along to search for him, but to no avail. No one could say for sure whether or not the existence of the 3,000 boundless worlds who had created the 3,000 boundless worlds, the fiend god who had walked out of the primordial chaos like Pangu, Heavenly Lord Absolute Luo, and fiend ancestor Rahu, had encountered an accident. Therefore, they could only think about it, but they couldn't really count on that expert to suddenly return and deal with the devil race. They could only rely on these insignificant people to fight to the death. Kill! Terrifying roars came out of the mouths of all the living beings, and killing intent burst out, causing the universe to tremble. Xiaolong's group of 5 pounced towards the 2 devil race experts like moths flying into a flame. Holding the mentality of facing death with equanimity, they didn't know how many attacks they could withstand. Rumble! The void shook violently, the world shook, and everything exploded. Everywhere was struck into a state of chaos, and it was incomparably terrifying. Huge vortexes appeared, swallowing everything. A large number of experts from the 33 heavens, 3,000 boundless worlds, and the devil race were sucked into the vortexes, and suffered heavy casualties. The collision of 2 carrying Tao realm experts and 5 half-step carrying Tao realm experts was really too terrifying. Even if it was just the aftermath, it was enough to crush countless other living beings. This was an indiscriminate attack, and it didn't care which side the experts were from. In this regard, The two carrying Dao realm experts of the devil race didn't care about the casualties of the devil race at all. Go to Helens. The carrying Dao realm expert with huge bone spikes on his back suddenly sneered, and devil chi surged out of his body, creating a terrifying storm that swept towards Xiaolong and the others. The other carrying Dao realm expert also slashed out thousands of ferocious blade lights in succession, and the scene was extremely shocking. After the second round of attacks, Xiaolong and the others had suffered serious injuries, and each of them was covered in bloody wounds. They only felt that they would only be able to withstand 1 or 2 more attacks like this before they were crushed to death. Prepare to self-destruct. Even if I die, I will make these two carrying Dao realm experts suffer. Xiaolong's dragon eyes suddenly shot out 2 rays of light, and a strong sense of anger and determination appeared in the depths of his eyes. For the 3,000 boundless worlds, for our loved ones, even death is worth it. Yanghua said softly, and although his voice wasn't loud, it contained an indescribable sense of grandeur. His gaze drifted as if he was thinking of the beautiful figure he cared about the most. She had stayed in the 3,000 boundless worlds and didn't come here. In addition, familiar faces flashed through his mind, and the corners of Yanghua's mouth curled into a smile, as if he was bidding farewell to many old friends. Di Batian, Donghuang Taixin, and Lu Xintong couldn't help but have the same feeling when they saw this. This old man has lived for countless years, and in the early years, I fought against the gods and Saint Kings in the 3,000 boundless worlds, and it could be said that I narrowly escaped death. But after all, those were all battles of the same level, and it wasn't very heroic. But now, this old man is actually lucky enough to participate in the battle between the experts who created the world, and it can be said that my life wasn't in vain. Let's self-destruct. Donghuang Taixin suddenly chuckled, and he didn't care about the injuries on his body at all. Instead, a terrifying aura began to brew, and he rushed out to kill the 2 carrying Dao realm experts. The self-destruction of a half-step carrying Dao realm expert might not be fatal to a true carrying Dao realm expert, but it was enough to greatly reduce their strength. In this way, it could be considered as reducing a huge amount of pressure for the experts of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds. Moreover, there were a total of 5 of them here, and if they all self-destructed at the same time, even the 2 carrying Dao realm experts wouldn't be able to withstand it. If we die, then die. Di Batian also said in a deep voice, and like Donghuang Taixin, he directly attacked the 2 carrying Dao realm experts. Xiaolong, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong naturally didn't slow down at all, and they followed closely behind. Seeing the 5 people attacking, the 2 carrying Dao realm experts looked at each other, and then directly retreated, and a series of sinister laughter came from their mouths. You want to self-destruct to deal with the 2 of us? You 5 ants, are you worthy? The expert covered in pitch-black scales laughed, and his voice was hoarse and gloomy, as if it came out of a broken drum. The 2 instantly retreated, and they didn't intend to fight the suicide attack of the 5 carrying Dao realm experts head-on. With their strength, it wasn't particularly difficult to shake off the 5 carrying Dao realm experts. Moreover, it was better for the 5 carrying Dao realm experts to self-destruct, as they wouldn't waste too much time here. Seeing the 5 carrying Dao realm experts' auras become more and more intense, the 2 carrying Dao realm experts couldn't help but smile coldly. As they retreated, they couldn't help but close their eyes slightly, as if they wanted to listen carefully to the beautiful sound of the 5 carrying Dao realm experts' self-destruction. Brother Xiaolong, your lives are so precious, how can you be annihilated by 2 scammers? Suddenly, a voice appeared out of thin air, as if it came from ancient times, and it suddenly fell into the ears of Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixin, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong. As the voice fell, a powerful force swept over, and directly fell on Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixin, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong's bodies. In the next moment, the 5 half-step carrying Dao realm experts were shocked to discover that the aura they were gathering was greatly suppressed, and they couldn't erupt for a moment. Xiaofu brat. Upon hearing this voice, Xiaolong's eyes widened, and joy surged in his heart. This voice was too familiar, and it was no stranger to any of the experts. It was none other than Du Xiaofu, whose fate was unknown. Without hesitation, the 5 half-step carrying Dao realm experts retracted all the energy in their bodies, and suppressed it, no longer agitated. Originally, they were about to self-destruct, but under this restraint, they suffered some injuries again. However, this didn't matter. The most important thing was that Du Xiaofu had really returned. Swoosh, a purple-robed figure appeared out of thin air, and descended in front of everyone. This figure was none other than Du Xiaofu. Brother Xiaolong, you guys go to the side and rest. Leave these 2 carrying Dao realm experts to me. Du Xiaofu glanced at Xiaolong and said with a light smile. Xiaofu brat, you broke through to the carrying Dao realm? Xiaolong was pleasantly surprised and couldn't help but ask. Seeing Du Xiaofu nod with a smile, they became even more excited. Then, they nodded excitedly and quickly retreated to the rear. Be careful. Both of them are at the Dao vessel realm. Before Xiaolong left, he didn't forget to remind Du Xiaofu. They finally felt a lot more relaxed. Du Xiaofu had broken through to the carrying Dao realm and arrived here in time. It might be difficult for him to deal with 2 carrying Dao realm experts, but he definitely wouldn't be completely suppressed like them. As long as this brat could hold on, the 5 of them could wait until they recovered some strength and came to help. At that time, the situation would be much better. Another world of the devil race? The devil ancestor really hasn't given up on his evil intentions. Du Xiaofu's gaze turned to look at the endless devil race army around him and muttered softly to himself. Chapter 2989. After Du Xiaofu arrived, he quickly understood the situation in front of him, and the result that he obtained also made him feel incomparably surprised. The appearance of the second devil race world had a huge impact on the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. If not for Du Xiaofu's timely arrival, Xiaolong, Dibadian, and the other half-step Dao realm experts would have been the first to bear the brunt of the attack and die at the hands of the 2 Dao realm experts. Yu Qing Divine Emperor, it's him, Daluotian Rock Emperor Du Xiaofu. He has already stepped into the Dao realm. He really recovered. This is great. Du Xiaofu's sudden appearance caused the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds to boil with excitement. They were all unable to suppress their excitement. They all knew about the tribulation Du Xiaofu had gone through thousands of years ago, and the experts of the various worlds had brought many treasures to the divine battle world in hopes of lending him a helping hand. Who would have thought that the purple-robed youth would appear again today, and this made everyone overjoyed. Rock Emperor Du Xiaofu has returned. The devil race no longer has much of an advantage. Let's fight and see who will have the last laugh. Suddenly, a powerhouse from the 33 heavens shouted out loud. Such words immediately stirred up the blood of many experts. If it was said that they still had a great deal of worry before, then now they were completely free to fight, clashing with the devil race experts. Du Xiaofu stepping into the Dao realm was inevitable, and his arrival gave the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds real hope. With him holding back the 2 Dao realm experts, the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds naturally had nothing to fear in a situation where the devil race did not have much of an advantage in numbers. Many people shouted as they engaged in a terrifying battle with the devil race experts. Everyone was no longer in a state of panic. Du Xiaofu was like a stabilizing needle that had arrived. However, just as the powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 great thousand worlds were feeling this way, another wave of war cries surged out from the celestial demon battlefield. We came from Shenwu world, and the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds are working together to fight against the demons. These words were like a bolt of lightning striking down, shocking everyone present. Everyone was stunned. Then, under their increasingly shocked gazes, at least 2 million figures covered the sky and covered the earth. They were so densely packed that it was a spectacular sight. The most terrifying part was that there were over 100 experts at the meditative realm amongst these 2 million experts, and the rest were at the eternal realm. Such a force was too terrifying. No matter where it was or where it was in the world, it was an absolutely terrifying combat power. Are these people from Shenwu world? How could they be so strong? A powerhouse from the 33 heavens muttered, his face filled with disbelief. The sudden arrival of so many powerhouses was truly beyond their imagination. The changes in Shenwu world were too great. With so many powerhouses joining in, the situation of the entire battlefield was instantly changed. The Rock Emperor has recovered, and Shenwu world has risen with him. With this, what do we have to fear from the demons? There were creatures who laughed loudly, feeling incomparably happy. Many people beside him echoed, expressing their agreement. Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchun, Jialo Jueyu, and other powerhouses didn't waste any words and directly charged into the battlefield. In an instant, the situation of the entire battlefield changed greatly. In terms of overall strength, the demons were at a disadvantage. They were being suppressed by the powerhouses of the three worlds. Kikik, your Du Xiaofu? The two Dao-bearing experts didn't seem to care about the situation around them. They didn't seem to care about the lives of the other demons. The two looked at Du Xiaofu and laughed coldly. They had received orders from the demon ancestor to kill this purple-robed youth called Du Xiaofu. As for the others, they didn't care about them at all. You're right, I am Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu looked at the two demons and said softly with a smile. His face was calm and composed, and his feet stepped through the void as if he was taking a leisurely stroll. He didn't feel the slightest sense of urgency from being surrounded by two super powerhouses. Not bad, kid. We were going to look for you, but you delivered yourself to our doorstep. The demon covered in scales laughed eerily as he looked at Du Xiaofu. A Dao-bearing expert is already very strong. Unfortunately, you're only one person. You won't survive today against the two of us. The other demon with bone spikes on his back said. As the two of them spoke, they formed a triangle formation and charged towards Du Xiaofu to kill him. As long as they dealt with the purple-robed youth in front of them, they would have completed the most important task of this trip. The two Dao-bearing experts naturally had to join forces and kill this purple-robed youth as soon as possible. Hee. Hearing the words of the two demons, Du Xiaofu suddenly chuckled with a mysterious calmness. He said, "Don't the two of you feel that you're overconfident? I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint the two of you here today. I can guarantee that it won't be long before the two of you die in my hands. And I will also kill your Lord Demon Ancestor." As he finished speaking, a playful smile appeared at the corners of his mouth as he looked at the two demons. The two devilish beings couldn't help but falter slightly upon seeing this, and they exchanged a glance with one another. They had absolutely no idea where this young man got his confidence from, daring to say such words in a situation where he was fighting two people by himself. But no matter what, this battle was absolutely unavoidable. What an arrogant brat. Then let's fight. I'll let you see what true strength is. The demon with scales all over his body snorted and immediately attacked Du Xiaofu. In his hand, the strange long saber slashed out like a poisonous dragon, crazily biting at Du Xiaofu. "Boy, give me your life." The other demon quickly stepped in the void. Every step of his heavy body was like a huge mountain moving, causing the world to shake as if it was about to be destroyed. It was incomparably terrifying. The two demons approached Du Xiaofu, but the purple-robed youth didn't seem to care at all. Swish! Suddenly, a light flashed in Du Xiaofu's hand, and the purple-gold heavenly palace appeared in his hand. The smile on his face grew wider, but this time it was incomparably cold as he said, "You know nothing about power." Chi-la. As soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, the purple-gold heavenly tower slashed downwards, creating a dazzling streak of light as it collided with the attacks of the two Dao-carrying experts of the devil race. A shocking scene occurred. Du Xiaofu's sword light seemed to be invincible, and in an instant, the attacks of the two demons were shattered, so much so that not even a decent aftershock was emitted. The huge bone spikes that shot out in the void were actually easily repelled by Du Xiaofu's sword light. This scene was so shocking that the two demons were stunned in place, and for a moment, they didn't know what to do. How could this be? The two of them couldn't believe it and muttered. After looking at each other, they saw the shock in each other's eyes. Obviously, the strength that Du Xiaofu had shown had shocked them, and they weren't mentally prepared for it. Although the other party's attack just now didn't show much of a terrifying fluctuation, it had tightly suppressed the attacks of the two demons. Such means were really too terrifying. Prepare to die, I don't have much time to waste on the two of you. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows slightly, and his figure suddenly spread out and directly pounced. The purple-gold heavenly palace in his hand released a bright light. On the other hand, an expanse of boundlessly vast energy of the Grand Tao was actually inexplicably emanated from his body, and it effused out ferociously and shook violently. The power of the Grand Tao belonged to Du Xiaofu himself, and it was completely different from the Tao of any living being in the world. This power swept towards the two demons and wrapped them up at the same time. Boy, you're simply too arrogant. You're just a Tao carrier. Do you really think the two of us can't do anything to you? One of the demon powerhouses said coldly. Then the two of them didn't waste any more words and directly launched another round of fierce attacks on Du Xiaofu. No matter what, they didn't believe that Du Xiaofu could really pose a great threat to them with the strength of a single person. As they spoke, the qi in the bodies of the two demon powerhouses circulated wildly, and scarlet light burst out, intertwining into an incomparably terrifying billowing demon qi. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything else, but the sword in his hand moved. In an instant, layers of strange power came out from the void, and dense mist rose in the air. It was as if with the movement of his sword, an unimaginable power between heaven and earth was gathering here. The purple-robed youth's surroundings suddenly became deep and vast, making people feel as if they were turning around in an ocean of energy, and fierce power burst out from the surroundings. This is the power of the world. How is this possible? The throat of the man covered in pitch-black scales rolled a few times as he spoke in disbelief. It was as if he had sensed something extremely shocking from this. How can a realm of enlightenment master the power of the world? The other person also spoke, and his entire body was shocked to the extreme. They had just come out of the demon world and didn't know anything about the outside world. The demon ancestor had asked the two of them to kill this young man called Du Xiaofu, so they just did it directly. It was expected that the person who could be sent out by them was extremely powerful, and the two realm of enlightenment masters never thought that they could easily kill Du Xiaofu. But they never thought that the power of the world would burst out from this boy's body. His cultivation isn't at the realm of enlightenment, but he has the power of the world. Why is that? The two of them were stunned in an instant, and their whole body was stunned on the spot, as if they were stupid. The power of the world here was different from the power of the world in the ordinary sense, and this was the power of the real vast thousand worlds. The creator of every world could control this kind of power, and it was something that was fused with them, and they could freely use it. In the eyes of a realm of enlightenment master, a large world was similar to a powerful treasure that they refined themselves, so of course they could use it. But the two demons never thought that the purple-robed youth in front of them, who was clearly only at the realm of enlightenment, would be able to use such a terrifying power. The demon race has wreaked havoc in the world, but I didn't think that after killing off one world, another would appear. Since you don't want to stop, then let me kill you until you lose your courage. Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly became serious, and he said so. Then, he waved his sword and slashed at the two realm of enlightenment masters. Facing Du Xiaofu's power of the world of Xinwu, the two of them didn't dare to underestimate him in the slightest, and fought back with all their strength. Instantly, a terrifying battle broke out on this side, and the three realm of enlightenment masters fought fiercely. Du Xiaofu was fighting 1 against 2, and he actually had the absolute advantage. With the power of the world of Shenwu, he no longer needed to be like before, where he could only use the power of the world of Shenwu. Even if he was outside the Fiend God battlefield, he could still use the power of the world for his own use. It could be said that after truly breaking through to the realm of enlightenment, he had walked his own path, and his control over the world of Shenwu had reached the most perfect state. Therefore, with the help of the world of enlightenment, Du Xiaofu firmly suppressed the two realm of enlightenment masters, and suppressed the fluctuations of the battle between the three to the smallest possible scale, so as to avoid causing huge losses to the other masters. A powerful light spread out from Du Xiaofu's body, and his whole body moved continuously in the void, forcing the two realm of enlightenment masters to retreat step by step. Xiaofu brat is actually so strong. In the distance, Xiaolong, who was quietly sitting cross-legged and recuperating slowly, opened his eyes, and couldn't help but be stunned when he saw the battle. He was extremely surprised by Du Xiaofu's performance. The purple-robed youth had just broken through to the realm of enlightenment, but he was actually able to fight against two realm of enlightenment masters? Such a powerful strength could only be described as abnormal. We can focus on recuperating, and when we recover some strength, we can go help him kill those two realm of enlightenment masters. Dibatian also opened his eyes at some point and said. When the others heard this, they couldn't help nodding and didn't say anything else. At this moment, the most important thing was to kill the two realm of enlightenment masters. Lu Xiaofu and the devil ancestors' battle was still unknown, and with these two realm of enlightenment masters delaying them, Du Xiaofu couldn't go forward to investigate the situation. Xiaolong and the others believed that with the current situation, as long as they joined in, they would definitely be able to help Du Xiaofu kill the two realm of enlightenment masters in a short time. Xiaolong, Dibatian, Donghuang Taishen, Yanggua, and Lu Xintong closed their eyes again and focused on recovering their strength. In the distance, terrifying battles were taking place in every direction, and it was incomparably terrifying. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds had joined forces, gathering a large number of masters, and their overall strength was almost on par with the realm of enlightenment masters. After Shen Wu world joined in, the situation gradually became one-sided. It could be said that if the realm of enlightenment masters didn't take action, the army here would be crushed in the end. On the other side, Du Xiaofu was also moving with all his strength, and every time the broadsword in his hand fell, it was as if a part of the world was dancing, and it was incomparably terrifying. All of this was being perceived by Lu Xiaofu and Luo Ho at this time. So the two realm of enlightenment masters of your realm of enlightenment are only so capable. Lu Xiaofu and Luo Ho stood opposite each other and suddenly chuckled lightly, speaking in a relaxed manner. Sensing the situation outside, he breathed a sigh of relief. Previously, Xiaolong and the other four were firmly suppressed and almost reached a critical juncture. Fortunately, Du Xiaofu appeared in time. Even Lu Xiaofu didn't expect that his junior brother's strength would break through so quickly, and under the condition that he controlled the power of the world, he could fight against two realm of enlightenment masters at the same time. No one could have expected such a valiant appearance. Obviously, the devil ancestor, who was facing Lu Xiaofu, had never thought of this point. Du Xiaofu. The devil ancestor clenched his teeth, almost grinding them to pieces. Hearing Lu Xiaofu's words, the devil ancestor only felt extreme anger. He never thought that that brat Du Xiaofu would be so strong, and it was completely beyond his expectations. Lu Xiaofu's mood at this time was simply relaxed and happy. He was still fighting Luo Ho with all his might, but this time, he wasn't in a hurry. Junior brother Du Xiaofu had awakened and recovered. The devil ancestor should be the one anxious. One had to know that in the current world, the only person who could truly threaten Luo Ho's life was Du Xiaofu. Lu Xiaofu, you can't stop this ancestor. Even with the addition of Du Xiaofu, what could they do? They would still end up dead. With the knowledge of post-celestial life forms like you, how can you see through this ancestor's methods? In the middle of the battle, Luo Ho spoke eerily to Lu Xiaofu. His eyes shone with a strange light as he stared deeply at Lu Xiaoyu. Facing the devil ancestor's gaze, Lu Xiaofu's whole body unconsciously had some goosebumps. He frowned, and his heart pounded. Just as the devil ancestor said, he indeed couldn't see through the devil ancestor's methods. Just like this hidden second devil world of the devil race, he only knew about it when the devil ancestor revealed it himself. It was also because of the existence of this world that the devil ancestor could mobilize terrifying power to repel Lu Xiaofu and then sneak attack Du Xiaofu, causing Lu Xiaofu's plan, which had been set up for many years, to fail at the last step, and fail on the verge of success. Therefore, the devil ancestor's words once again made Lu Xiaofu more cautious. Perhaps it was just as he said, that the devil ancestor still had a true method, and that he was still hiding it. Chapter 2990. No matter what other tricks you have up your sleeves, use them all. Lu will take them all. Lu Xiaoyu frowned as he looked at the demon ancestor and said, he couldn't help but be cautious. The demon ancestor's methods were strange and unpredictable. Suddenly, he released a huge new world, and the living beings inside were extremely powerful. If it weren't for Du Xiaofu and the people of Shenwu world, the powerhouses of the 33 skies and the 3,000 sectors would have suffered heavy losses under the slaughter of the two demons. Because of this, Lu Xiaoyu couldn't guarantee what the demon ancestor could do. The sudden appearance of the demon world was already enough to catch people off guard. If there were other changes, it would bring unimaginable pressure to deal with. Looking at Lu Xiaoyu's expression, the demon ancestor laughed coldly. The energy on his body fluctuated again, deep and vast. Feeling this fluctuation, Lu Xiaoyu was shocked again. He looked at the demon ancestor deeply. Could it be that the demon ancestor still had some terrifying tricks he hadn't used yet? Very quickly, under Lu Xiaoyu's gaze, the demon ancestor's body emitted a bright light. Once again, there was a terrifying fluctuation of energy in his abdomen. This scene was very similar to the new world of the devil race that he had summoned earlier. Within this fluctuation of energy, there seemed to be a living being that was awakening. It stared at Lu Xiaoyu from the dark, making him feel like he was being stared at by a pair of cold eyes. This feeling made him feel shocked and his heart heavy. Lu Xiaoyu, I admit that you are extremely talented and your strength is extraordinary. You are not much weaker than me. In addition, that brat Du Xiaofu is also extraordinary. He can indeed pose a threat to this ancestor. However, in the face of absolute strength, even if Du Xiaofu has some special abilities, I'm afraid he still has a chance to fight against me. At the end, the demon ancestor laughed arrogantly again. The energy on his body continued to surge. How could Lu Xiaoyu, who was standing opposite him, not understand the meaning of his words? Everyone knew that Du Xiaofu could completely kill the demon alpha. This was something no one else could do. However, the premise of all this was that his strength was not too different from the demon ancestors, or that the demon ancestor had expended a lot of energy before Du Xiaofu could kill him. That was Lu Xiaoyu's plan all along. He wanted to use his own strength to push the demon ancestor to the limit. Then, Du Xiaofu would attack and kill him. But what if the demon ancestor was too strong, far stronger than Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu? Even he was suppressed by the demon ancestor's absolute power, so how could he possibly kill it? Lu Xiaoyu didn't respond to Luo Ho's words. Instead, he stared deeply at the other party. At the same time, he brandished his saber, Bloody Slaughter, and attacked the towering and burly demon body with all his strength. However, the light on the demon ancestor's body shone brightly again. As the mighty power burst forth, it shook Lu Xiaoyu's long blade away. A terrifying roar sounded, and in the next moment, an old figure appeared in front of the demon ancestor. The figure was not tall, and it was in the shape of a human. After the boundless and violent power withdrew, its true appearance was finally revealed. It looked like an ordinary little old man. However, Lu Xiaoyu did not dare to be careless. He would definitely not treat the old figure as an ordinary little old man. The other party had appeared from the demon ancestor's body and was summoned by him. It was absolutely terrifying. Its aura was not much weaker than Lu Xiaoyu's. What kind of technique is this? Lu Xiaoyu's eyebrows twitched as he muttered to himself. He was a little confused. First, the demon ancestor's body had nurtured a powerful world. Then he had summoned a figure. All of this showed that there was something unusual about it. Lu Xiaoyu had never heard that the demon ancestor had opened up two worlds in ancient times. At that moment, what was going on with this strange old figure? Lu Xiaoyu, prepare to die. I'll get rid of you first. Then I'll deal with Du Xiaofu. Seeing Lu Xiaoyou's shocked look, the demon ancestor sneered and said. After he said that, the old figure suddenly shouted, "Kill!" After that, he charged at Lu Xiaoyu and simply slapped out with his palm. Voila! In an instant, heaven and earth were turned upside down. The demon world was annihilated. Heaven and earth were turned upside down. Mountains and rivers rotated. The sun and moon trembled together. The terrifying power swept out and spread in all directions. This world seemed to be experiencing the end of the world. Everything was destroyed and turned into a terrifying surge of energy. It all charged at Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu did not dare to be negligent. The old man who suddenly appeared was very powerful. His cultivation level was also in the enchanting realm. He did not even think about it. The blood sword in his hand slashed and turned into a vast waterfall. It was like a rainbow that crossed the sky. It was also like a ferocious giant dragon that moved ferociously. Lu Xiao, no matter how extraordinary you are, can you still fight one against two? The demon ancestor snorted coldly. Looking at the collision between Lu Xiaoyu and the old figure, he could not help but open his mouth and say, to be able to make this ancestor's main body and clone come out together, you can be proud enough. Now, this ancestor will send you on your way. When Raha's voice fell, the long scarlet hair all over his body stood up crazily. Boundless blood instantly spread out and appeared between heaven and earth. Gurgle, gurgle. In the blink of an eye, this demon world was actually filled with a boundless sea of blood. It flowed in every inch of space, creating a series of scarlet bubbles. After they exploded, it was a terrifying smell of blood. Lu Xiaoyu was in this sea of blood. He felt the invading power on his body, but he did not care too much. He retreated after exchanging a blow with the old figure. Then he directly dodged in another direction, avoiding the demon ancestor's claw that came at him. It's actually Raha's clone. Lu Xiaoyu was shocked as he fought and dodged. He was once again shocked by the demon ancestor. The other party's methods were indeed strange and unexpected. What had happened today had once again refreshed his understanding of the world. This old figure's strength was incomparably powerful. It was actually not weaker than him. Compared to Raha's main body, it was only slightly weaker. It was undeniable that under the cooperation of the main body and clone, Lu Xiaoyu had already fallen into an absolute disadvantage. He could not gain any advantage in this battle at all. He was faintly anxious. Could it be that no matter how much he calculated, he still could not outsmart the demon ancestor who had lived since ancient times until now? Raha's thoughts were completely different from Lu Xiaoyou's. He kept laughing sinisterly. The other clone also had a cold look on his face from time to time. The combination of the main body and the body was flawless. They kept attacking Lu Xiaoyu. Raha was extremely happy. All of this was much more troublesome than he had imagined. He had actually summoned this world and his clone early. However, this was not a big deal. As long as Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu were dead, no one in this world could pose a threat to him. However, just as the demon ancestor was feeling smug, a light voice seemed to come from the end of the world. It was transmitted here and entered the ears of Rahu and Lu Xiaoyu, the physical body of the Dark Emperor. I see. This voice was fleeting and appeared very suddenly. There was no warning, and the two people in the battle did not sense it. After hearing that voice, the demon ancestor's expression changed. Even his clone, which had the shape of a human, was shaken. So, it's you. Then, the demon ancestor seemed to have thought of something. He coldly said to the void, I was wondering who the person who opened up the 3,000 sectors was. It's you. Spirit creation, are you also going to obstruct this ancestor? His voice was hoarse and gloomy. At the same time, it was extremely loud and clear. It spread in the void, questioning the voice that had not appeared. Senior spirit creation. On the other side, a smile appeared on Lu Xiaoyou's face, as if he had received the best news. When he first heard the voice, he had already identified the other party's identity. It was the creator of the 3,000 sectors, a fiend god who had walked out of the chaos like the demon ancestor, senior spirit creation. Xiaoyu boy, I'm here to help you. The voice sounded again. Then, a ray of light appeared out of thin air and exploded not far from the demon ancestor. The endless sea of blood in this world was repelled by this terrifying power, and a vacuum appeared. In the vacuum stood the figure of a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s. This figure was extraordinary. His body was tall and straight, and his aura was imposing. Divine light shone between his eyebrows, and his whole body exuded an extremely terrifying aura. As soon as he appeared, this figure stood in front of the demon ancestor and blocked all his attacks. The pressure on Lu Xiaoyu was immediately relieved. He only needed to face the demon ancestor's clone alone. This ancestor has always been curious. Among the 3,000 fiend gods, other than Pangu, Lord Daluo, and myself, who else came back to life and opened up the 3,000 sectors? I didn't expect it to be you. When the demon ancestor saw the imposing man appear, he stopped attacking him and said, "This ancestor will ask again. Spirit creation, are you going to stop this ancestor?" Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyu, who was fighting fiercely with the demon ancestor's clone, immediately pricked up his ears. He wanted to hear the following conversation between the two. He had realized that today he was going to learn some unimaginable secrets. These things could only be discussed by those in the enchanting realm. He had just broken through this realm and knew nothing about it. Many years ago, I began to search for the chaos and found that among the 3,000 fiend gods, other than Pangu, Lord Daluo, me, and you, Wan Ming also broke through the barrier. However, after searching for a long time, I couldn't find out his final whereabouts. Who would have thought that he was refined into a clone by you? This brand new demon world was also opened up by him and then forcibly occupied by you, right? Spirit creation glanced at the demon ancestor and didn't answer his question directly. Instead, he said this. Hearing such words, Lu Xiaoyu was shocked. Only then did he understand that the demon ancestor's clone was also an ancient fiend god. Moreover, this ancient fiend god had opened up a world, but for some reason, it was refined and seized by the demon ancestor. Everything had become a wedding dress for the demon ancestor. Before the ancient world was opened, there was only chaos, and there were 3,000 fiend gods. When the fiend gods attacked each other, it was accompanied by the destruction of the chaos and the fall of most of the fiend gods. The strongest few fiend gods lasted until the end, broke through the chaos, and opened up their own world. The feud between Pangu and Luo Ho was long before the chaos was opened. Therefore, they had been fighting until the demon ancestor was suppressed. The other fiend gods belonged to different camps, but they didn't interfere too much with the feud between Pangu and the demon ancestor. However, in order to defeat Pangu, Luo Ho took advantage of the time when Lord Daluo opened up the Daluo heaven to launch a sneak attack on him. He wanted to take the Daluo heaven for himself and use it to deal with Pangu. However, this plan failed in the end. Lord Daluo didn't let the demon ancestor succeed. Instead, he joined forces with Pangu and suppressed the demon ancestor's body in the Daluo heaven. His primordial spirit was also divided and sealed in the 18 layers of hell. Lu Xiaoyu roughly knew that spirit creation was injured in the battle in the chaos. Because he didn't participate in that battle, he just found a place to heal himself. It wasn't until the Pangu world and the demon world were both broken that the 3,000 worlds appeared. Moreover, because of some special reasons, the 3,000 worlds were not complete. Whether it was the shape of the world or the order of the laws, they were not as good as the earliest Pangu world and the demon world. Therefore, the upper limit of the cultivation of the creatures in the 3,000 worlds was greatly limited. This was not the point. The point was that there seemed to be a fifth fiend god who walked out of the chaos. He was the Wan Ming, mentioned by spirit creation. However, it seemed that this Wan Ming's fate was not smooth. After successfully creating his own world, Luo Ho took advantage of this opportunity and refined his consciousness. His body and primordial spirit became Luo Ho's clone, which was the old man who was fighting Lu Xiaoyu now. The world created by Wan Ming was constantly growing under the nurturing of Luo Ho's clone. This was originally a means to deal with Pangu. Unexpectedly, after the upheaval in the ancient times, it was delayed until today, when it was used to deal with Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu. You were right. After Wan Ming walked out of the chaos, he had been traveling with me just to deal with Pangu. However, later on he secretly created a new world. My strength was greatly damaged in the battle with Pangu. Therefore, I took advantage of his unpreparedness and refined him into a clone. Then, the new world was controlled by me. Unfortunately, when I was dealing with Lord Daluo, I was unexpectedly attacked by him. That was why I died for so many years. Otherwise, what could Pangu do to me? Luo Ho answered Creation Spirit straightforwardly. He did not hide anything from Creation Spirit. Lu Xiaoyu, who was standing at the side, was even more shocked. Wan Ming, who had been refined, was actually on the same side as Luo Ho. Because Luo Ho was severely injured and wanted to kill Pangu, he seized all of Wan Ming's achievements and erased him from the world. However, this could not be repeated. The demon ancestor had successfully used this method on Wan Ming without anyone noticing. However, when he wanted to use the same method to deal with Lord Daluo, he was resisted by Lord Daluo. Lord Daluo was so angry that he did not even care about his own life. He directly mobilized all of his strength and joined forces with Pangu to suppress Luo Ho. In the end, Lord Daluo died and could not be reborn. The Daluo sky that he created also shrank from its embryonic state until it was equivalent to a small world. Luo Ho, are you still stubborn? Is that path really what you think it is? Can it really be walked through? Creation Spirit snorted and stared at the huge demonic figure opposite him as he asked. Although he was asking a question, he did not look forward to it at all. Obviously, he thought that Luo Ho would continue to be stubborn. It was absolutely impossible for the demon ancestor, who had always wanted to destroy the world from the chaos, to change his appearance and stop killing. Creation Spirit, why waste your time talking? Everyone and everything in this world will be destroyed in the hands of this ancestor. Including you, you will not be able to escape from my hands. Demon ancestor Luo Ho stared at the majestic figure opposite him and suddenly laughed eerily. He continued, "Don't you want to stop me? Then let's fight. Let's see how long you and Lu Xiaoyu can last," he said in a deep voice. As soon as he finished speaking, he charged toward Creation Spirit. Under Luo Ho's control, the old man refined by the fiend god Wan Ming attacked Lu Xiaoyu even more ferociously. This was a terrifying battle, which was equivalent to a battle between 4 illusionary realms. It was extremely terrifying. Luo Ho, I'm afraid the one who is going to die will be you, Lu Xiaoyu said softly and lightly. After one unforeseen event after another, the strength of the two sides was almost equal again. He and Creation Spirit may be at a disadvantage when dealing with Luo Ho's real body and doppelganger, but they would not be defeated in a short time. On the other side of the battlefield, Du Xiaofu was holding the broadsword purple gold heavenly sword and attacking crazily. The 2 Dao carrier experts of the demon clan had begun to be suppressed by him. With the help of Xiaolong, Di Batian, and Donghuang Taixin, Du Xiaofu had the absolute upper hand. It would not take too long for him to kill the 2 Dao carrier experts. Damn Du Xiaofu, how can he be so strong? The demon ancestor could not help but curse when he sensed the situation on the other side of the battlefield. No matter what, he'd never imagined that Du Xiaofu's strength would actually be able to firmly suppress 2 Dao Vessel Realm experts under the circumstances of going against 2 Dao Vessel Realm experts by himself. The purple-robed young man had mastered the power of the world. He was not someone ordinary people could deal with. Chapter 2991. During the battle with Lu Xiaoyu, demon ancestor Luo Ho had sensed Du Xiaofu's movements from Shenwu world. Knowing that Lu Xiaofu was still alive, demon ancestor Luo Ho had a bad premonition. Therefore, the first thing he wanted to do was to shake off Lu Xiaofu and attack Du Xiaofu before he recovered his strength. He wanted to use the absolute suppression of the enchanting realm to kill Lu Xiaofu. However, Lu Xiaofu was holding him back with all his might. He was fighting with his life on the line, trapping demon ancestor Luo Ho in this vast void space. Because of this, Luo Ho had no choice but to use his trump card in advance, which was a brand new demon world. Luo Ho felt that even if Du Xiaofu recovered his strength and broke through to the Dao Carrier realm, he wouldn't be able to fight 1 against 2. Under the suppression of 2 Dao Carrier realm experts, only death awaited the purple-robed young man. However, it seemed like demon ancestor Luo Ho had miscalculated something. Du Xiaofu controlled everything in Shenwu world. After breaking through to the Dao Carrier realm, he would be able to mobilize all the power in Shenwu world to fight against his enemies. Therefore, no matter how strong the 2 Dao Carrier realm experts were, they were quickly suppressed by Du Xiaofu. Moreover, as time passed, Xiaolong, Di Badian, and Donghuang Taixian also recovered some strength after a short period of rest. They helped Du Xiaofu from the side. In this way, the 2 Dao Carrier realm experts had to endure countless sword lights from Du Xiaofu. The 2 of you should be on your way first. Prepare to welcome your Lord Demon Ancestor. The sword light in Du Xiaofu's hand flashed, and he flicked it lightly. With a chi-la sound, a terrifying stream of light slashed through the air, directly arriving in front of the Dao Carrier realm expert with bone spikes growing out of his back. Facing such a sword, the Dao Carrier realm expert seemed unable to dodge. He hastily blocked the attack and was sent flying back. Another wound appeared on his body, and devil blood splattered into the void. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's gaze did not move, but his mind instantly turned to the other side. He waved his arm, and 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons appeared. With a rumbling sound, they crushed the void and surrounded the devil who was covered in pitch-black scales. The 9 cauldrons were like gigantic mountain peaks, crashing down with a loud bang, forcing the devil into a desperate situation step by step. Du Xiaofu controlled the world force of Shenwu world, and the amount of power he could command was not something an ordinary Dao Carrier realm cultivator could compare to. The divine martial world was created by Empyrean Absolute and was now under Du Xiaofu's complete control. This meant that Du Xiaofu could borrow a portion of Empyrean Absolute's power. A portion of the strength of a Dao Vessel Realm expert was absolutely terrifying when executed by a Dao Vessel Realm expert. Under Du Xiaofu's repeated attacks, the 2 Dao Vessel Realm experts were bathed in blood, and their auras rapidly weakened. As time passed, he finally pierced through the body of the devil who had bone spikes on his back. A terrifying amount of energy poured into the devil's body, and madly collided with it. Pew pew pew. In just a few short breaths of time, sharp rays of light shot out from the devil's body, and it was as if a sharp blade had sliced it open from the inside out. Go to hell. Du Xiaofu lightly snorted, and his figure flashed, disappearing from the spot. In the next instant, he appeared behind the devil powerhouse. In his hand was a ball of red light, which was trembling and jumping. This was the primordial spirit of the devil powerhouse. Under the suppression of Du Xiaofu's terrifying power, it was still resisting. However, under the pressure of the world force, no matter how much it resisted, it was useless. Du Xiaofu lightly snorted from his throat, and then the power in his palm burst forth, and his 10 fingers suddenly clenched. Rip. A muffled sound reverberated, and the primordial spirit was instantly crushed, turning into ashes. When the other Dao Vessel Realm expert saw this scene, he was instantly gutted. Du Xiaofu's strength had greatly exceeded his expectations. It was really too terrifying. Even a Dao Vessel Realm expert seemed to be so weak in front of this purple-robed youth. Without thinking, this devil covered in pitch-black scales immediately began to flee into the distance. His companion had already died, and if he didn't leave now, he wouldn't be able to live for long. Do you think I'll let you escape? Seeing this situation, Du Xiaofu chuckled. Then, his figure rushed out, and the purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand slashed out again. Before this, the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons had already followed closely behind, and their speed was not the slightest bit slower than the fleeing devil powerhouse. At this time, Du Xiaofu raised his sword and attacked again. When this unparalleled sword light flashed past, a sound like metal clashing rang out, and the sharp friction between the purple-gold heavenly tower's sword light and the devil's body emitted a sharp sound. But very quickly, the sound of friction suddenly turned into a muffled pu sound. Then, the devil's body was cut in half at the waist, and was immediately engulfed by the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons. It's done! Looking at this scene, Xiaolong, Di Badian, and Donghuang Taixian stood in the distance, and their hearts all relaxed. The 2 Dao vessel realm experts of the devil race were originally able to crush the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. Unfortunately, they encountered Du Xiaofu, who had just recovered and rushed here. Although the 2 of them held on for a long time in the hands of the purple-robed youth, they could not escape the fate of death in the end. Xiaolong and the others' eyes flashed. They saw that the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons had returned to Du Xiaofu's side, but the 2nd Dao vessel realm expert of the devil race was no longer there. Damn it! Du Xiaofu, I swear to kill you! In the devil world, the devil ancestor screamed crazily. He desperately wanted to rush out and personally deal with Du Xiaofu, but he was tightly held back by Lu Xiaoyu. The devil ancestor's doppelganger was also madly fighting with creation spirit, and there was no way to get rid of him. In the battle, all of them exerted their full strength. Including Lu Xiaoyu and creation spirit, they all knew the truth. If they did not force the devil into a desperate situation, the other party was likely to form a terrible counterattack. Once the devil ancestor went all out to kill, the creatures of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds would suffer heavy casualties. At that time, it would be difficult for the 2 of them to stop him. If that was the case, even if they finally fought the devil ancestor to death, what was the point? It was precisely because of this that Lu Xiaoyu and creation spirit were entangled with the devil ancestor's body. In particular, the battle between Lu Xiaoyu and the devil ancestor's body was extremely terrifying. The 2 of them had already fought to a certain point, and each of them had suffered heavy injuries. At this time, the battle was even crazier. Chi La. The 4 figures were engaged in a fierce battle in the vast devil world. Such a side of the world was constantly shaking under the terrible power swept by, and the sky and earth were turned upside down. Every move of the few of them not only destroyed the physical form of the world, but also could cut off the invisible rules and order. Crack. At some point in time, a soft sound was suddenly heard, like the sound of porcelain shattering. Then, similar sounds were heard more and more. In a short time, there were no less than a dozen sounds. Boom! But at a certain moment, after a wave of terrifying tremors, the demon world was blasted apart, and it turned into over a dozen enormous fragments. Moreover, there were countless tiny fragments that disintegrated and shot out in all directions. Such a broken world was extremely terrifying, and it caused countless Devil Clan creatures to die an unnatural death, without the slightest ability to resist. Under the arrival of the strongest apocalypse in the world, most creatures had no ability to escape at all. What's more, those powerful Devil Clans in the meditative and immortal realms were fighting with the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors outside at this time. Kill. Such a situation did not have the slightest impact on Lu Xiaoyu, creation spirit, Luo Ho, and their clones. They were still engaged in a terrible battle. Figures shuttled back and forth in the sky full of fragments, colliding and fighting crazily. Devil Ancestor, this day has finally come. At this time, Du Xiaofu had dealt with the 2 carrier realm experts of the Devil Clan and rushed into the broken world. Looking at the terrible battle in the 4 sides, he could not help but murmur. He did not directly participate in other things, because he knew that with his current strength of the carrier realm, he could not play a big role in this battle. Of course, in the case of controlling the power of Shenwu world, if he went all out, he could still cause a little trouble to the Devil Ancestor, but it was limited to just a little trouble. Therefore, Du Xiaofu was waiting for the Devil Clan to fight to an extreme point before his senior brother and the others. At that time, it would be the best time for him to take action. Du Xiaofu, give me your life. Seeing Du Xiaofu come near, the Devil Ancestor shouted and rushed towards him. Du Xiaofu's figure flashed, and he dodged in another direction, but the Devil Ancestor was blocked by Lu Xiaoyu again. He was not stupid, how could he stand still and let the devil ancestor attack? After the previous sneak attack, Du Xiaofu was completely avoiding the devil ancestor at this time, changing his position from time to time, not giving him any chance to get close. Coupled with Lu Xiaoyu and creation spirit suppression, even if the devil ancestor's cultivation was a realm higher than Du Xiaofu, he still could not do anything to him. Today, let's end it here. In the battle, Lu Xiaoyu's aura suddenly changed, and his whole person was like a terrifying long sword, emitting a cold and sharp aura. A large amount of five-colored light rushed out from his body, and all of it wrapped around the devil ancestor, tightly entangling him in it. This five-colored light contained an unimaginably deep power, and it was shocking. As the qi flowed, the power of the great Tao rose, and the qi of chaos burst out, turning into a power that could strangle everything, crazily tearing at the devil ancestor's body. Roar! A terrible roar burst out from the devil ancestor's throat. The scarlet hair all over his body danced wildly, driven by Lu Xiaoyu's power, breaking out of his body in clumps. Large areas of bloody marks appeared on the surface of his body. Lu Xiaoyu, this ancestor is going to tear you apart. The devil ancestor yelled and charged straight for Lu Xiaoyu, a claw swiftly swinging out. With a ripping sound, Lu Xiaoyu's chest was directly torn apart by this claw. He actually did not dodge at all. And at the same time, the long saber in his hand, blood slaughter, also directly stabbed into the devil ancestor's heart. This attack between the two people was actually a fighting method of exchanging a life for a life. Kill! Lu Xiaoyu received the devil ancestor's attack, and after his own attack also succeeded, his other fist waved again, charging towards the devil ancestor once more. He did not have the intention of dodging at all, and actually wanted to take this opportunity to fight it out with the other party again. In an instant, the devil ancestor roared angrily again and again, shaking heaven and earth. This side of the world was already beaten until it was broken. The battle between the few illusionary realms was also boundlessly horrifying, carrying out a terrifying consumption of each other. The devil ancestor was clearly unwilling to be forcefully consumed by Lu Xiaoyu like this. But all of this was already very difficult to change because of his will. This battle was forever unavoidable. Furthermore, the strong and weak situation between both sides was also very difficult to change. Therefore, even if the devil ancestor chose to avoid the battle at this time, he still could not escape the final result that he had to face. What he needed to strive for now was to kill one of Lu Xiaoyu and Creation Spirit, two people first. Only then could he grasp a stronger and true chance of victory. If not, he would only be the aureole behind Du Xiaofu. Hence, the devil ancestor himself was also fighting with all his might, constantly looking for opportunities, only wanting to bring serious damage to Lu Xiaoyu's creation spirit. Huff huff, Du Xiaofu had been watching all of this from not far away. His figure drifted, changing to another place from time to time. In his hand, he was even holding the purple gold heavenly fault all the time. The aura all over his body was also brewing all along, seemingly planning to take action at any time to deal a sure kill blow to the devil ancestor. As time passed quickly, the terrifying battle lasted for a very, very long time. In the end, both Lu Xiaoyu and the devil ancestor fought to a very terrifying extent. Both of them were severely injured. Their physical bodies were ruined, and their primordial spirits were terrifyingly damaged. As his cultivation was slightly weaker than the devil ancestors, Lu Xiaoyu's situation was even more miserable. He had already exhausted himself to the limit and no longer had the strength to continue fighting. He needed time to recover. It's time for me to make a move. Seeing such a scene, Du Xiaofu could not help but tighten his grip on the broadsword in his hand. Then he stepped into the air and headed straight for the devil ancestor. His gaze did not move as he looked at the tall devil's body. At this time, the other party's flesh and blood were tumbling. It was a hideous scene. It was as miserable as it could be. It was like a monkey in distress. However, Du Xiaofu did not let his guard down. The person in front of him was the devil ancestor. Even if he was severely injured, he still had an immortal body. He could not afford to be careless. Junior brother, I'll leave the rest to you. Lu Xiaoyou's physical body was broken, and his primordial spirit was on the verge of being destroyed. He began to adjust his breathing as he spoke to Du Xiaofu. He had already done his best. He had dragged the devil ancestor to this point. Now it was up to Du Xiaofu. Don't worry, senior brother. Du Xiaofu nodded. He was not in a hurry to attack the devil ancestor. As he walked in the void, he observed the devil ancestor. At the same time, he asked Lu Xiaoyu, Senior brother, there is something I want to know. Can you tell me now? As he spoke, Du Xiaofu did not look at Lu Xiaoyu. He continued to stare at the devil ancestor without moving. When Lu Xiaoyu heard him ask this, he gently opened his eyes. He knew what Du Xiaofu was asking about, and he knew that he did not want to know about the devil ancestor's secrets. However, because he was facing off against the devil ancestor, he was quite nervous, so he naturally asked. Even though he knew this, Lu Xiaoyu did not plan on hiding anything. He said to Du Xiaofu, ask whatever you want to know. Today, senior brother will not hide anything from you. He lightly let out a breath as he stared at the devil ancestor. Why am I the only one in this world who can kill the devil ancestor Rahu? Du Xiaofu softly asked as he walked. This was something he had been wondering about. He had never received an answer, and Lu Xiaoyu had never told him. Even though Du Xiaofu had some guesses, he could not prove anything, so he still wanted to ask. Because you are the ruler of the Shenwu world. Right now, half of Rahu is a being of the Shenwu world, right? So, his indestructible body is nothing in front of you. Lu Xiaoyu did not hide anything and said this. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's expression did not change at all. He was very calm. This explanation was completely within his imagination. The devil ancestor's body was suppressed in the Dalu Ocean for countless years. It was not until he gained a new consciousness that he was revived. He became Jiangchen. The reason he gained consciousness in the Dalu Ocean was because he borrowed the Dalu Ocean's rules and order, and he was added with that world's unique attributes. Even after the devil ancestor fused all 18 layers of his primordial spirit, he could not get rid of this attribute. From a certain perspective, he was already half a being of the Dalu Ocean, so he was naturally restricted by Du Xiaofu. Therefore, if the devil ancestor stood there and let Du Xiaofu kill him, he would definitely die. Even the indestructible body could not save him. Du Xiaofu had guessed this a long time ago. Now that he had Lu Xiaofu's confirmation, he could finally put down one of his doubts. However, there were still many things that he could not figure out. Could all of this be a scheme set up by Empyrean Dalu Ocean and Great God Pangu? So that the devil ancestor could become a being of the Dalu Ocean, so that he could be killed in the end and lose his greatest advantage? Du Xiaofu could not help but ask Lu Xiaofu again. He had reason to guess this because all of this was too coincidental. If this was not deliberately arranged by someone, Du Xiaofu would only think that there was no such thing in this world. If that was the case, such a terrifying scheme was even more terrifying than the ancient suppression of the devil ancestor, and its influence would be even more far-reaching. I'm afraid it can't be considered a scheme. As far as I know, all of this might just be an idea. The terrifying great god Pangu and Empyrean Dalu Ocean never thought that such an idea would be realized one day. Lu Xiaofu said softly as he watched Du Xiaofu stand in front of the heavily injured Rao. His heart skipped a beat as he nervously looked at the field. Chapter 2992. Lu Xiaoyou's eyes narrowed as he watched Du Xiaofu approach the demon ancestor. He knew that a terrifying battle would erupt between the two of them in the next moment. The demon ancestor's strength was greatly damaged, and Du Xiaofu's cultivation was weaker. Their combat power was about the same, and Du Xiaofu still had a chance to take the initiative. However, the closer they were to the end, the more nervous Lu Xiaoyu became. Under his gaze, Du Xiaofu stood in front of the demon ancestor, not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he stared at the tall, broken demonic body in front of him. It doesn't matter if the two seniors, Pangu and Exalted Heavenly Lord, really planned this, but one thing can't be changed. All of this has already become an established fact. And I am the one who can kill him. Du Xiaofu spoke softly. His gaze did not waver, and his words were filled with killing intent. However, there was not much fluctuation in his voice. In the ancient war, whether or not Pangu and Exalted Heavenly Lord had really planned this, the method to make the demon ancestor become half of Exalted Heaven's life form and destroy his immortal body was already an established fact. Now, Du Xiaofu was the ruler of Exalted Heaven, and the demon ancestor was at least half of Exalted Heaven's life form. Naturally, his life could be harvested by Du Xiaofu. All of this seemed to have been planned long ago. When Lu Xiaoyu heard Du Xiaofu's words, he nodded and continued. Perhaps the two seniors didn't expect that they would be able to come this far. The strongest method they left behind at that time wasn't to suppress the demon ancestor in Exalted Heaven. Then what was it? Du Xiaofu's eyebrows did not even twitch as he asked Lu Xiaoyu. All of his attention was focused on the demon ancestor. Junior brother, do you know the uniqueness of the Du family's bloodline? Lu Xiaoyu suddenly changed the topic and asked. These words came out of nowhere. If other people heard it, they might be very surprised. However, Du Xiaofu was not surprised. When he recovered from the Du family's sarcophagus, he faintly felt that he had an even more unimaginable secret. Therefore, after Lu Xiaoyu asked the question, the purple-robed young man did not speak and only listened quietly. In this world, not everyone can control the laws and order of Shenwu world. Only the descendants of the Du family can truly comprehend the laws and principles there. Du Xiaofu's calm demeanor didn't surprise Lu Xiaoyu at all, as he continued, otherwise, wouldn't the demon lord, the demon ancestor, me, and the others all become the rulers of Shenwu world? When will it be your turn, junior martial brother? After Lu Xiaoyu's explanation, Du Xiaofu naturally understood. So the Du family's bloodline had such a unique characteristic. No wonder everything was so coincidental. In the immemorial age, the one who had the heavenly body was the ancestor of the Du family, and many years later, the one who controlled the heavenly body was Du Xiaofu again. Otherwise, among the countless outstanding people since ancient times, there would be many who could steal the heavenly body of Shenwu world. No matter what, it would never be Du Xiaofu's turn. At the very least, his senior martial brother and the powerhouses of the 3,000 boundless worlds behind him had countless people who were many times stronger than Du Xiaofu. Furthermore, the most outstanding ancestor of the Du family who had the heavenly body must have a lot to do with this. The past is the past, I can only guess a few things. That is, before the great Luo Tianzuan passed away, he made some slight changes to the Du family's bloodline, causing your bloodline to look very ordinary. However, within this ordinariness, there are many variables. And it just so happens that in the generation of your Du family's heavenly body ancestor and your own generation, there really are variables. Lu Xiaoyu said with a smile. After he finished speaking, he took a deep breath. The previous battle with the demon ancestor had already exhausted him to the extreme. At this time, his body was seriously injured, and after talking so much with Du Xiaofu, he almost couldn't hold on anymore. He hurriedly took a deep breath and secretly adjusted his breathing, no longer speaking. In another direction, the battle between the creation spirit and the demon ancestor's avatar was extremely terrifying. Under the vibration of the energy of the two, the shattered world once again turned into even more fragments. However, the demon ancestor's avatar did not fight with the creation spirit. He tried his best to rush over and stop Du Xiaofu from attacking the demon ancestor, but under the obstruction of the creation spirit, he could not do so. Du Xiaofu, you want to kill this ancestor? Wishful thinking. This ancestor admits that there is something special in your body, but you do not have enough strength to fight with this ancestor. In front of Du Xiaofu, the demon ancestor was silent for a long time. Then he suddenly shouted. Immediately, his body suddenly rose and rushed toward Du Xiaofu. The pair of sharp claws brazenly tore down in the void, tearing the sky and the earth into pieces. This attack was so sudden that it was difficult for people to react. It seemed that he had been preparing for this attack for a long time. Before Du Xiaofu could react, the demon ancestor's claws had already grabbed his chest. "Junior brother, be careful," Lu Xiaoyu exclaimed. He was almost scared to death by this scene. Du Xiaofu could not have any accidents. Now, he was counting on him to suppress the demon ancestor. However, the situation in front of him was too unexpected. It was obvious that the demon ancestor had deliberately prepared for this for a long time. He was determined to kill Du Xiaofu with one blow. Boy! In the distance, creation spirit also looked over, his eyes filled with horror. Under his gaze, the purple-robed young man did not dodge the demon ancestor's attack. Instead, he allowed the other party's sharp claws to tear open his chest. At the same time, the scene seemed to have stopped. Several people saw that Du Xiaofu's body had been torn in half by the demon ancestor. However, one of his hands was slightly raised, and in his hand was a broadsword that was bursting with light. The broadsword went straight forward and stabbed into the demon ancestor's chest. Endless power burst out from the purple-gold heavenly palace and rushed into the demon ancestor's body. It began a crazy strangulation and destroyed his vitality. The demon ancestor's immortal body was quickly destroyed by Du Xiaofu's broadsword. I was waiting for you to make a sneak attack. Du Xiaofu's body, which had been cut in half, suddenly made such a sound. Then, under everyone's gaze, the two halves of the body began to slowly close and gradually return to their original appearance. Du Xiaofu looked as if he was not injured, but his aura was much weaker. Du Xiaofu, you... In front of the purple-robed young man, the towering and burly demon looked at him in disbelief and said in disbelief. Junior brother. On the side, Lu Xiaoyu cried out in surprise. He could naturally sense that the demon ancestor's vitality was rapidly draining. His body was quickly crushed by Du Xiaofu's power and turned into nothingness. Luo Ho's immortal body, which he was so proud of, was no longer truly immortal because he had absorbed the power of the divine battle world and produced spiritual life. It was only now that the people on the battlefield realized that the one who had launched the sneak attack was not the demon ancestor, but Du Xiaofu. The purple-robed young man had been waiting for the demon ancestor to make a move. When he was talking to Lu Xiaoyu, he had purposely revealed some flaws, but it seemed that all of his attention was still focused on the demon ancestor. Such an arrangement was flawless. The demon ancestor had also fallen into Du Xiaofu's trap. He had expected that Du Xiaofu would definitely dodge the sneak attack, but he did not expect that kid to be prepared and give him a fatal blow. I am your heavenly Tao. A part of your life was given by me. If you want to kill me, it won't be that easy. Du Xiaofu said to the demon ancestor as he stood still and maintained his posture of stabbing. It had to be said that Luo Ho was Luo Ho after all. After all, he was an ancient god that had walked out of chaos. That attack had caused great damage to Du Xiaofu. However, his life was not in danger. Good. Lu Xiaofu suddenly laughed and looked at Du Xiaofu with satisfaction. Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaofu, creation spirit, I will kill you all. The demon ancestor's body finally collapsed. The huge demonic shadow slowly disappeared and turned into a thick cloud of black smoke. Before all of his vitality was completely destroyed, the demon ancestor's remaining primordial spirit flashed and entered his doppelganger, which was the body of the god called Wan Ming. Luo Ho, you'd better accept your fate. Things have come to this point. You can no longer change the result. Creation spirit snorted and said in front of Wan Ming's old body. Luo Ho's real body had been destroyed, and only his doppelganger was left. He really could not make any big waves. On their side, in addition to creation spirit, there were also Lu Xiaofu and Du Xiaofu. Although these two guys were seriously injured and needed time to recover, they still had the upper hand. But in this way, they would have the absolute initiative, and they would no longer fear Luo Ho. Luo Ho, your real body has been destroyed. Even if this doppelganger is left, it will not be as powerful as before. What's more, your greatest advantage, the immortal body, is gone. Why don't you just commit suicide and die? Is there a need to continue to struggle? Lu Xiaofu said mockingly as he glanced at Luo Ho's doppelganger. Now that things had developed to this point, he was completely relieved. All the arrangements had been made. Just as Lu Xiaoyu had said, even if Luo Ho still had a powerful doppelganger left, it was not his real body after all. The so-called immortal body no longer existed. Luo Ho really had no chance to resist. Stupid human. Luo Ho's doppelganger sneered when he heard Lu Xiaofu's words. He suddenly sneered at him and said, "An ant will always be an ant. As a postnatal creature, no matter how high your cultivation is, how can you understand the ultimate mystery of this world?" Luo Ho spoke as if he was looking at lowly insects. He looked down on Lu Xiaofu and Du Xiaofu with the strongest disdain. His words caused Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu to be stunned. They couldn't help but look at each other. Was there any ultimate mystery in this world that they did not know, but Luo Ho clearly knew? Therefore, the two of them could not help but be curious. They wanted to hear what Luo Ho had to say. "Even if I die, you can't escape the final judgment of fate. All living beings are no exception. One day, you will face the final judgment of God." Luo Ho sneered. Suddenly, he changed the topic and said, "You may know where this world came from, but I'm afraid you don't know where it will all go in the end." As Luo Ho spoke, he recovered the strength he had consumed. In this regard, creation spirit did not stop him. He, Lu Xiaofu, and Du Xiaofu were also trying to recover their strength. The three of them listened quietly together. They just wanted to hear what Luo Ho would say in the end. As time slowly passed, Luo Ho explained some secrets to Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu in an absolutely aloof manner. Everyone knew that the world was created by ancient gods and demons, and these gods and demons were born from the chaos. In that case, how did chaos appear? The chaos came from nothing and gave birth to the gods and demons. The gods and demons walked out of the chaos, opened up the world, and gave birth to countless living beings, which are you ants. But don't think that all of this is the end. Don't naively think that everything in the world will continue like this from now on. Because one day, everything will return to its original place. You ants will eventually die without a burial place. Even the evanescent realm can't avoid it. At the end of his speech, Luo Ho actually began to laugh strangely with excitement. Especially when he looked at Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu, his eyes were full of sarcasm and mockery. Indeed, in his eyes, even if these two people were so formidable now that they were sufficient to affect him, Rahu still looked down upon them. Because they were living beings after the heavens, and they were utterly unable to understand what the greatest terror in the world was. So it's really like this. Lu Xiaofu was not moved by Luo Ho's mockery. He sighed to himself. Before breaking through to the evanescent realm, he also had a deep understanding of the concept of nothing and followed that train of thought. In the end, he really successfully took the crucial step. The concepts that Lu Xiaofu had mastered all came from legends. No one could prove everything and tell him that chaos really came from nothing, and that all the worlds would eventually return to nothing. So when he heard what Luo Ho said at this time, he couldn't help but feel a little amazed. Return to nothing. Du Xiaofu's brows moved slightly and murmured. It was the first time he heard such a thing, but he didn't feel too much awe. Because all of this only existed in legends and there was no sense of urgency at all. So to Du Xiaofu, Luo Ho's words were simply flirting with a blind man. It didn't have any sarcastic or shocking effect. Stupid humans, insignificant ants. The world's greatest disaster, but you don't care at all and don't have the slightest awe. It seemed that Lu Xiaofu and Du Xiaofu's reactions were not as expected. Luo Ho was indignant and continued to say, "Ignorant humans, how can you know that everything I do is to prevent the world from returning to nothing and being completely annihilated? But you ants have stopped me time and time again. Including Pangu, Lord Daluo, and you, Creation Spirit, you are all ignorant and unenlightened." At the end of his words, Luo Ho looked sad and indignant. Hearing his words, Creation Spirit didn't say anything, as if he had adopted a tacit attitude towards everything. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu finally turned their eyes to Creation Spirit and asked something with their eyes. They were no longer as indifferent as they were in the beginning. They only thought that even if there was such a great calamity, it would definitely not happen right before their eyes. Moreover, even if it did happen, no one would be able to stop it. Since that was the case, why should they be worried for nothing? Now, when Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu saw creation spirit's serious expression, they couldn't help but have an inexplicable feeling in their hearts. Was it really as serious as Luoho said? As if to answer the two, creation spirit nodded gently and said, "Everything starts from nothing and returns to nothing. This is an established law. And no one knows when that day will come. Just like creating something out of nothing, it is so sudden and without warning. So, over the years, I have been searching for this ultimate secret, but I have gained nothing. I can't find any way to change the final direction." Creation spirit's words were filled with a sense of loss. Du Xiaofu didn't know, but Lu Xiaofu knew that creation spirit had been missing all these years. He had just returned from the battle with the demon ancestor. He had gone to search for some of the secrets of the world. Back then, Lu Xiaoyu had also tried to find him, but he had failed. However, it was that experience that allowed Lu Xiaofu to gain a lot of benefits and new insights, which laid a solid foundation for him to break through to the enchanting state. Now that creation spirit personally agreed with Luoho's words, Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu suddenly felt that things might be more serious than they had imagined. Chaos, the world, living beings, all things, the origin of all these was nothing. Their end was also nothing. That was to say, no one could escape the fate of returning to nothing. Luoho, creation spirit, and even Pangu, Lord Daluo, and the others might have tried to stop this from happening. However, with their ability, it seemed that they couldn't stop all this. The power of nothing was so powerful that it could create something out of nothing and cover everything. Everything I have done is to break through nothing, so as to escape the fate of ultimate extinction. You ants, how would you know that this ancestor's actions are a grand plan of eternity? Luoho almost began to roar. He pointed at Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu and said angrily, as if he was scolding the two of them for being stupid and ignorant. Chapter 2993. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu felt the demon ancestor's disdainful gaze. According to Luoho himself, everything he did was to prevent the world from evolving into nothingness, which would lead to the end of all life. If that was the case, then it was indeed a great plan. To be able to resist the will of nothing, what kind of strength did one need to accomplish this? Of course, Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu were not fools. They would not believe the demon ancestor's one-sided words. Besides, even if he really had such a grand idea, it could not hide the fact that his actions were cruel and bloody. It could not change the fact that he was the enemy of the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the Daluocean. So the power of nothingness is so great. It's much more terrifying than I thought. Lu Xiaoyu murmured softly, his heart filled with emotion. He broke through to the almighty realm with the help of the concept of nothingness. His body turned into nothingness, and then he was reborn from nothingness. Then he broke through the final barrier. After such an experience, Lu Xiaoyu naturally grasped some of the essence of nothingness. It was similar to controlling a part of the power of origin. It was only after hearing what the demon ancestor and spirit creator had said that he realized that the power of nothing was much stronger than he had imagined. It was as if nothingness was not something that any living creature could touch. Even the great god Pangu, heavenly lord Daluo, demon ancestor Luoho, creation spirit, and other ancient gods and demons could not do it. If there really came a day when the world collapsed and was annihilated into dust, then it would return to nothingness. Even the chaotic gods and demons with almighty bodies would not be able to escape death. The reason for the chaotic battle of the 3,000 gods and demons in the ancient chaos was because of this. When everyone realized that the chaotic world would come to an end one day, they began to think of ways to end this day. Because no one could predict when that day would come, just like when this world appeared, it was so sudden and without warning. The 3,000 gods and demons all had their own ideas. Some thought that they could interfere with the evolution of the world. After the chaos was broken, they could create a new world and gain a new foothold. They could get a chance to breathe and slowly find the final solution. Some thought that only by breaking and building can one see the origin. Many people had this idea. Luoho, 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 was determined to destroy everything. They felt that as long as they destroy the world, when they destroy the world, they would have the chance to understand the mystery of the mystery and find the way to break the of nothingness. Creation Spirit Creation, said Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu, and Creation Spirit Creation again. At the end of his words, he looked again at Luo Ho, the demon ancestor. It was not difficult for Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu to understand these words. They knew that, among those gods and demons who thought that they could interfere with the evolution of the world, step by step, gain a new foothold, and then find new opportunities, there should be Pangu. The other gods, such as Lord Daluo and Creation Spirit, might not be on the same side as Pangu, but they did not reject his ideas. The other was the demon ancestor. His purpose was to destroy the world, which was contrary to what Pangu and the others did. Naturally, they had conflicts and gradually became incompatible. After Creation Spirit Creation's explanation, Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu understood more clearly. They had to admire Luo Ho and the others. They wanted to destroy the whole world and use this opportunity to break the foundation of the of nothingness, so as to avoid real destruction. Only by breaking the of nothingness can the world be truly eternal, and life can be truly outstanding. If you can't achieve eternity, you can't escape death. Even if you live for thousands of years, what's the difference? Luo Ho spoke again. His face looked a little old, but at this time he was hale and hearty, as if he had taken a great tonic, and his face was ruddy. It was conceivable that these things discussed with Du Xiaofu and the others had restored the madness of ancient times. As long as I succeed, I can bring a brand new prosperity to everyone, a world that will never be destroyed. It is a place where many people can find eternity. Luo Ho spoke again, almost roaring, and what can Pangu bring? Everything he has done is just to prolong his life. All escape is useless. If you don't see the scenery at the end, you can't stop what is going to happen there. What a fool's dream. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu did not answer for a long time. They were both lost in thought. Eternity, this was probably the result that everyone wanted to achieve. For the beings of the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and Shenwu world, the purpose of cultivation was to increase their strength and obtain a longer lifespan. After entering the immortal realm, one could be said to be immortal for thousands of years, indestructible for thousands of years. It could be considered as eternal life, unless the world was destroyed and the beings lost their footing. Besides that, a very small number of people like Lu Xiaoyu were able to break through into the Dao-bearer realm and inscribe a Dao of their own, allowing them to be independent of the mortal world. Even if the large world was obliterated into dust, they would be able to remain unmoved and preserve their bodies to continue existing in the world. They would be able to endure through the ages and experience a myriad of tribulations to become eternal. However, even if the Dao-bearer realm was strong to such an extent that they did not need to rely on the world to carry them, and even had their own independent Dao, it was impossible to avoid the power of nothingness. Not to mention the Dao-bearer realm, even the final Dao-bearer realm was the same. Because everything in the world, visible and invisible, tangible and intangible, all came from nothingness. Nothingness gave birth to everything, and could also erode everything. No matter who it was, as long as they could break through nothingness, they could obtain the strongest power and prove eternity. There was a great chance that they could make the whole world exist eternally. The beings living in this world naturally did not need to worry about the so-called destruction. In this way, Luo Ho's words seemed to carry a strong sense of savior. However, after hearing this, Creation Spirit snorted in disdain. Luo Ho, stop dreaming. Wake up and take a good look at your current situation. Creation Spirit said softly to Luo Ho, you are not qualified to be compared with Pangu. What he did was to fight for the last chance of survival. Once he succeeded, the world would be preserved. But if he failed, he would also perish with all beings. He was just facing an unavoidable fate. But you, Luo Ho, are doing this for your own selfish purpose? As you said, if you really prove the power of eternity, you will have a chance to re-establish the boundless world and make it the ultimate land of eternity. But before that, The Pangu world, the 3,000 boundless worlds, the Dalu Ocean, and even the devil world that you created, as well as us chaotic creatures, will all die in your hands. When all living beings die, the world will be completely destroyed and turned into nothingness. Only then will it be time for you to truly comprehend nothingness. Here, I want to ask you, Luoho, what right do you have to stand at the highest position and judge the life and death of others just to fulfill your own wish? Creation Spirit said to the devil ancestor with strong disdain. Especially when he said the last sentence, he was full of contempt. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu finally understood everything. They all knew that Pangu walked the Tao of all beings, but they did not know there was such a layer of things in it. The ancient fiend god who created the Pangu world allowed the world to continue and the living beings to survive. He took all of this step by step to pursue the ultimate nothingness, waiting to finally prove eternity with the whole world. Even if he failed, he would just perish with all living beings and turn into nothingness. This was a result that was destined to be, and it was reasonable that it could not be changed. But Luoho was different. Everything he did was for himself. At this time, the body he occupied was the fiend god named Wan Ming, who was also on the same side as Luoho. But he died tragically in Luoho's hands, and even his own body and the world he created fell into the hands of the devil ancestor. What Luoho wanted was destruction. In the face of the resistance of countless living beings, he would use slaughter to open up a devil's domain and dominate it. Therefore, he created the devil world and gave birth to the 9 devil generals and other powerful beings to compete with the living beings of the Pangu world. His purpose was to destroy everything. If he succeeded in his slaughter, the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the divine martial world would all be destroyed, and all living beings would die. Then, it would be his turn to kill the living beings of the devil world, who would also be slaughtered by the devil ancestor. This was his Tao, the Tao of slaughter, the Tao of destruction. Evolving in slaughter, rebirth in destruction, and pursuing eternity, this was the result Luoho wanted. Stupid guy. You are as stupid as Pangu and Heavenly Master Daluo. After a series of sarcastic questions from Creation Spirit, Luoho laughed sinisterly and said, "In this world, only I have the opportunity to see the final step." His smile was extremely carefree, as if he had seen the ultimate nothingness and understood its mystery. His pride was beyond words. "Luoho, don't you think it's too early for you to be happy?" Du Xiaofu said in a deep voice. He moved his injured body reluctantly, turned to Luoho, who was laughing sinisterly, and interrupted his laughter. "Don't talk nonsense, let's continue the battle. I'd like to see what ability you have today, Luoho, to continue your crazy actions in this desperate situation." Creation Spirit said aloud, took a step forward, and closed in on Luoho. On the other side, Lu Xiaoyu had recovered some of his strength at this time. Although he was still far from the peak, he was slowly closing in on Luoho. This was the final battle. As long as Luoho was killed, the crisis of the devil world would be completely eliminated. The great calamity that spanned from the ancient times to the present would also be completely ended. As for the destruction of the world into nothingness, it was a problem that Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu should consider at this time. 1 against 3, Luoho, you have no chance. Du Xiaofu said softly, slowly accumulating the strength in his body. He saw that Creation Spirit and Lu Xiaoyu were both moving, but he did not move. His cultivation was much lower than the other 3, so he could not directly participate in the next battle. However, Du Xiaofu was also preparing, just like before, waiting for the right time to give Luoho a fatal blow. The 3 of them all believed that Luoho only had one doppelganger now, and even the advantage of the immortal body had been lost. Only death was left for him. Kill! Creation Spirit did not delay any longer and directly attacked. He stretched out his palm leisurely. It seemed ordinary and simple, but the power of this palm was beyond doubt. In the face of his attack, Luoho's doppelganger directly dodged and did not fight with Creation Spirit. He dodged quickly, but Creation Spirit's speed was also extremely fast, leaving no way for Luo Ho to retreat. While Luo Ho was desperately dodging, he still let out a burst of sinister laughter. At the same time, he said from his throat, "I know that I can't fight the three of you today. But that's not important. Since everything is out of my control, then I might as well go even crazier." Luo Ho was not stupid. Of course, he could see the situation in front of him clearly. He knew the strength of creation spirit, Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu. With his own strength, it was impossible for him to escape from the hands of these three people. The advantage of the immortal body had been lost, so Luo Ho also gave up fighting head-on with creation spirit and the other two. While he was dodging the pursuit of creation spirit, at the same time, the power in his body suddenly surged. Waves of fierce devil chi quickly evaporated like clouds, crazily diffusing in the broken devil world, enveloping everything in it. And being eroded by this devil chi, everything turned into a chaotic state in an instant, flowing with strange light, extremely terrifying. Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaoyu, and creation spirit also came into contact with this devil chi, and there was a sizzling sound coming out. Especially Du Xiaofu, his cultivation was slightly inferior, and his body began to corrode. His immortal Shen body was about to be corroded, and his primordial spirit was deeply throbbing. "This is..." Du Xiaofu frowned and asked in a loud voice, "What is Luo Ho trying to do?" Luo Ho's action was really abnormal. Not only the vast devil chi, but also his own power, which produced a terrible resonance with the surroundings. Under the influence of the resonance, more cracks appeared on the few pieces of the demon world that were still huge, and they started to let out terrifying rumbles. Like enormous mountains, they started to collapse on a large scale. The scene was extremely horrifying. The most shocking thing was that the power of the resonance was still expanding, and it began to spread from this area to further places. In the distant void space, the only remaining world of Earth was also vibrating at a special frequency under the effect of the resonance. The protective power outside the world was about to collapse. Luo Ho is releasing his power. He wants to self-destruct. Creation Spirit said urgently and extremely solemnly. Hearing such words, Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu were both shocked. If Luo Ho wanted to self-destruct, then the problem was really serious. If a master of the illusionary realm fully released his power, not only would they die without a burial place, but the distant 33 heavens, the divine martial world, and the 3,000 sectors in the distant world would also suffer unimaginable damage. They might even be directly annihilated into nothingness and return to the beginning in advance. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu both realized that Luo Ho had truly gone mad. He had been forced to his current state step by step, and there was no way out for him. He would not be like the ancient times, where he would allow himself to be suppressed by Pangu and exalted celestial and seek to return in this life. He had lost his immortal body, and he would not have such a chance again. As long as he died, he would really be annihilated from the world and cease to exist. Therefore, Luo Ho wanted to take a final gamble. He wanted to use all his power to collapse everything in the world and see if he could achieve nothingness. Creation Spirit, Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaoyu, you are very lucky to be able to witness such a day, the arrival of nothingness. This ancestor will lead all of you to see who is right and who is wrong. Luo Ho laughed crazily. His voice was hoarse and gloomy, and his eyes were red. He was staking everything on this last gamble. If he succeeded, the world would turn into nothingness, and he could use this opportunity to spy on the ultimate secret. If he failed, he would die and disappear into nothingness, and all traces of him would be erased from the world. Luo Ho's body began to disintegrate, and his primordial spirit burst out with a dazzling scarlet light, and a terrible power burst out crazily. Creation Spirit chased after Luo Ho closely, trying to stop him from self-destructing, but the difference in cultivation between the two was not huge. It was not difficult for Creation Spirit to hurt Luo Ho, but it was impossible to stop him from accumulating power and finally exploding. We must stop him. Lu Xiaoyu was also very anxious. He no longer cared about his injured body and forced himself to use his power to chase after Luo Ho. Like Creation Spirit, He only wanted to stop Luo Ho and stop him from self-destructing. Otherwise, regardless of whether or not Luo Ho could comprehend the final nothingness, just the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the Shen Wu world, these three massive worlds, would be finished. Without a doubt, the self-destruction of an immortal body powerhouse could definitely sweep across all the big worlds, no matter how far away they were. All the creatures, including the three super powerhouses, might not be able to survive. If they couldn't stop this from happening, then all the efforts they had put in would be for naught. By then, most of the creatures would die, the world would be destroyed, and the foundation would be destroyed. Then, it would really be the end of the world. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.